Douluo, leave everything on autopilot and become a god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 401 SEAGOD and -039. S heart recognizes the Lord. In the room, Hu Jiu held the sea god's heart in his hand and entered a little soul power into it. In an instant, the originally bland rhombus crystals bloomed full of light, and a layer of crystal blue light diffused, instantly making the entire spa splendidly bright. On this blue triangle, there are ripples like water under the light, as if you are in the ocean. The space around the room is filled with the breath of the ocean. Before the sea gods heart recognized its master. It can be called the vast sea universe cover. It has two functions. One is to adjust its own aura after inputting soul power. This ability is very useful when exploring, especially when facing someone a person or soul beast is very sensitive to breath. He can hide his breath. Another ability is a bit tasteless, and it must be used in the sea. Wearing the vast sea universe cover allows people to breathe freely in the sea and can also control the sea. If you want to make money, you can use it to hunt treasures in the sea, and the harvest is absolutely rich. Of course, these two abilities didn't play a big role for Hu Jiu at the moment. What really made him care about was, after he recognized the master, one is for him to obtain the 9th test of the sea god in the upcoming sea god test and become the inheritor of the divine position. The other is the true power of the sea god's heart. The true power of the sea god's heart can only be activated after recognizing the Lord. It's almost time. Hu Jiu now also has the beginnings of letting the sea god's heart recognize him as the master. You must know that he is now an 87th level spirit Douluo, so there is no problem in subduing the sea god's heart. Thinking of this, the mental power in Hu Jiu's mind shook slightly. A little spiritual power detected. Boom. But he didn't expect it to happen at the very beginning. His mental power was actually hindered. As soon as he entered the sea god's heart, he felt a huge rebounding force coming, and his body took 2 steps back with the sea god's heart. Even the head feels as if it was hit by something. My good fellow, you've actually gotten it, Hu Jiu said with a gnashing of teeth, feeling the wound on his forehead that was smashed by the sea god's heart just now. Blood flowed from the wound on his forehead. The sea god's heart slowly revolved in midair, and a wave of energy like an ocean current extended from the sea god's heart, like tentacles, connecting the blood flowing on Hu Jiu's forehead. As if the sea god's heart was sucking blood with the injection of fresh blood. The blue sea god's heart gradually turned into a bewitching red. Seeing this change, Hu Jiu didn't stop it. It was just a little sea god's heart, and he really thought it could hurt him. It didn't take long, but after a while, the sea god's heart changed again. A faint blue light floated out from the sea god's heart, condensing into a faint phantom. At the same time, an old voice sounded, "Haha, it's really delicious blood. After so many years, I finally found a physique that can withstand the power of the vast sea. Really? So what do you want to reward me?" Hu Jiu's indifferent voice came, making the old voice abruptly stop, and even the phantom who wanted to swim in the sea froze. After a long silence, the old voice sounded again, and the movement of getting the phantom also returned to nature. I saw him calmly stroke his beard, and his dignified and undignified temperament changed instantly. "Little guy, you are very good. You actually endure the power of the vast sea and still stay awake. Who are you?" Hu Jiu asked knowingly, looking at the pretending figure in front of him. "I am Poseidon, the sea god, who has traversed the sea for more than 1,000 years and swept the invincible hand in the sea. Boy, it is your luck to meet me." Sea god phantom's vigorous and powerful voice sounded. "Oh, then what can you teach me?" Hu Jiu asked curiously, with a hint of excitement on his face. It would be great if he could get the golden 13 halberds, just as he was still short of a powerful attack. "If you want to obtain my inheritance, that is to look for the footprints of the sea god. I hope you can pass my test next time we meet." As soon as he finished speaking, the sea god's phantom withdrew the sea god's heart with a swish. No matter how Hu Jiu called, he didn't appear. What Hu Jiu didn't know was that the sea god phantom was scolding Hu Jiu incessantly at this meeting. He didn't expect that this kid's mental strength was so huge that even he couldn't shake it. Originally, he wanted to absorb a little of Hu Jiu's mental power while he just woke up and use it to maintain his own consumption, but I didn't expect that. Not only did I not gain a little, but I posted a lot of energy backwards, and I just woke up and fell into a deep sleep again. Trash. Sigurd. Hu Jiu reluctantly checked Sigurd's heart, but no matter how much he checked, he couldn't find the Sigurd phantom that appeared just now. However, this fiddling is not without gain. When he did not believe in evil and suddenly paid attention to his own soul power entering the Sigurd's heart, a blood-colored light appeared, and then a blue light shot into his eyebrows, and in an instant, Hu Jiu felt that a huge message appeared in his mind. The picture in front of him suddenly changed, and Hu Jiu's soul and consciousness seemed to come to a wonderful world, a world of the sea. The endless blue sea and blue sky, and the turbulent sea at the foot. A feeling of physical and mental transparency emerges, and even the heart is broadened at this moment. A little bit of information about the Sigurd's heart entered his mind, and every piece of information was very clear. The various magical uses of the Sigurd's heart were constantly changing in the information. His usage was easily absorbed and digested by Hu Jiu. Although the information from the Sigurd's heart was huge, it was nothing compared to his spiritual power. After he digested this information, his consciousness was also driven out of this space. In the room, Hu Jiu opened his eyes, and a blue light of consciousness flashed in his eyes. Haha, as expected of a divine weapon, it is indeed powerful. Hu Jiu's mind moved, and the Sigurd's heart in front of him floated in the air with his thoughts. Spinning yo-yo. The ability of the Sigurd's heart, after recognizing the master, is very powerful. For example, there is no hidden aura ability before recognizing the master. After recognizing the master, the effect has changed dramatically. He can use the Sigurd's heart to form an invisible mask, like a room. Within its shroud, people can enter an invisible state, and in the process of invisibility, they can also hide their breath under the concealment of the Sigurd's heart. Even Bibidan couldn't find it. This ability is called the Vast Sea Shield. This is its first ability. Apart from that, it has several other abilities. One is the Kyang Kanding Divine Cover, which can immobilize the enemy's body and make people unable to move. There is also a third skill, Vast Ocean Waves, and a fourth skill, Heaven and Earth Breaking Demons. Both of these skills are offensive abilities and are very powerful. Chapter 402 Two Soul Skills Fusion. Vast Sea Raging Wave is a group attack skill, and Kyankan Breaking Demon is a single attack skill. The Heart of the Sea God alone provides Hu Jiu with 4 powerful skills, a defense plus stealth function, a restriction skill, plus a group attack and a single attack. Just by virtue of this skill, Hu Jiu can already do it. Defeat the Soul Master of the same level as him. TSK. It's so powerful now, so if you find the Sigurd Trident, wouldn't it be even more powerful? Thinking of this, Hu Jiu began to look forward to it. Moreover, the Sigurd Trident was a very powerful divine weapon. After being recognized as the master, it weighed 108 jins, but in the hands of others, the weight was no longer 108 jins, but 108,000 jins. It can be said that with the Sigurd Trident, no one below the god level is his opponent. Hey, thinking of the pride, Hu Jiu became more and more looking forward to the trip to Sigurd Island in the near future. Because of the relationship between the sea god's heart and the master, it took a whole night. Now it is the next morning, and the sky is just bright outside. With his current cultivation level, it would be no big deal if he didn't sleep for 10 days and a half. Just stepping out of the door, I wanted to go to the training ground to practice, but I saw a white woman with fair skin and beautiful skin is carefully sorting out the account books on the pavilion. Seeing this, Hu Jiu had a brainstorm and quietly summoned the Sigurd's heart that he had just collected in his body, input his soul power, and use the first soul skill, the Vast Sea Body Shield. In an instant, the Sigurd's heart in his hand silently formed a transparent mask, shrouding him in it. From the outside, Hu Jiu's figure disappeared in an instant. Hey, the plan of the year lies in the morning. At this high-spirited hour, Hu Jiu couldn't help but move slightly. Sitting in front of Ning Rangrong, Hu Jiu's eyes began to be unbridled. Those pink earlobes, like crystal jade beads, are more attractive the more you look at them. White skin, as supple as a baby. Ning Rangrang's skin was the best among the 3 women, and it fit the identity of the 7 treasure glazed tile school's little princess. Normally, at such a close distance, if someone's eyes fell on him, Ning Rangrang would have noticed it, but now it's different. Under the cover of Vast Sea's body shield, it seems that the space he is in is surrounded by in isolation. Hu Jiu's eyes were bursting with fire, but she didn't notice it at all. Ning Rangrang, who was in front of him, was still carefully checking the ledger. Hu Jiu glanced at it a little and recognized that it was the settlement list for doing business with Kyan Ringsu. Knowing that Hu Jiu was not interested in this, Ning Rangrang took the initiative to take it down. What? Ning Rangrang screamed. Her body bounced up instantly, and she quickly retreated for a distance, looking at the position just now with a look of alertness. It turned out that this guy Hu Jiu was so daring that he suddenly attacked. Just by looking at Ning Rangrang's chest, he knew what Hu Jiu was doing. Who is it? Get out of here, auntie, or else you won't be able to eat and walk around. Ning Rangrang was angry, exuding this gloomy aura. Her body belongs to Brother 9, but not everyone can touch it. Hey, don't be angry little beauty, come and play with my brother. Hu Jiu's voice was full of lewdness, and he didn't hide his voice. It really made Rangrang cry, not to mention that several women in his family couldn't spare him. Even he himself would feel distressed. Ah, who are you? Don't come here, I'll shout if you come again. Hu Jiu's voice, how could Ning Rangrang not recognize? Getting along with the morning and the day, don't say the sound. Just Hu Jiu blinked, she knew what he wanted to do. Knowing that it was her 9th brother who was doing the trick, Ning Rangrang instantly relaxed, pretending to be pitiful and cooperating delicately. Hey, just shout, no one will come to save you, even if your throat is broken. Ha 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 ha. At the end of the speech, Hu Jiu suddenly couldn't play anymore. He waved his hand to remove the shield of Vast Sea, laughing furiously out of breath. HMPH, 9th brother knows to scare me. I was almost scared to death by you just now. Ning Rangrang patted his chest, feeling his heart beating violently. Haha, it's my fault. I've been wronged by the little princess. Hu Jiu hugged Ning Rangrang and apologized tenderly. No, you have to accompany me. Ning Rangrang twisted her body and said relentlessly, okay, I'll accompany you. Hu Jiu agreed. Well, then let you go shopping with me, Sister Xiao Wu, and Sisters Yuking. Ning Rangrang pointed her chin and said slyly. She knew that what Hu Jiu was most afraid of was shopping. For Hu Jiu, going shopping with them would be the biggest punishment. What? Hu Jiu stared blankly at Ning Rangrang. At this moment, he seemed to see the horns of 2 little devils emerging from the top of Ning Rangrang's head. He, you deserve to scare me. Ning Rangrang laughed. HMPH, just go shopping, but before you go shopping, I have to punish you, otherwise you will be turned upside down in the future. As he said that, he picked up Ning Rangrang and walked back to his room with her exclamation, a cock. After releasing the heat in his heart, Hu Jiu walked out of the room refreshed. Hey, I want to trick him into going shopping, so she can't get out of bed. Now Rangrang can only go shopping in her dreams. Arriving at the training ground, Hu Jiu first checked the progress of his soul skill cultivation. After half a year of hard training, several soul skills have been cultivated to full rank by him, and they have been promoted. The Nether Soul Suppressing Bell and Beihuai Killing Raw were originally the combined inheritance soul skills of ZHU's Yuking and Amubei. When these 2 soul skills were mastered by the same person and they were cultivated to their full level, a qualitative change occurred. The 2 spirit abilities merged with each other and enhanced each other, becoming a powerful spirit ability with both offense and defense, called Jiuai. This soul skill can not only defend against mental and psychedelic attacks, but also incarnate into a purgatory of 9 secluded places, causing people to sink forever. Apart from these 2 soul skills, the one that has made the most progress is the dominant body soul skill, because this soul skill, Hu Jiu, cultivated the most diligently and made even greater progress. Long before the fusion of Jiuai Beihuayan, he had already reached the full level state. The wrought iron body of the diamond fuses with each other to form a brand new body forging soul skill point. The soul skill is called King Khan Tyrant Body, which passively increases the strength and defense by 100%. After running the King Khan hegemony, Hu Jiu turned into a dark gold little golden man, whose physical quality was even incomparable to Tai Long's grandfather. Taitan point when Tang Heo discovered that Hu Jiu had not only mastered his bottom boxing soul skill, but also innovated independently, combining the strengths of each family to form a new soul skill. He was so shocked that his teeth were about to fall out. Chapter 403 OYN-039 S Special Day. In this way, Hu Jiu's improvement was complete, and there were already quite a few spirit skills in his hands: meditation, intimacy, perception, poison escape, spiral pill, chaotic cloak hammering, Vajra wrought iron body, void walk, distraction control, hand knife, 9 serenity white tiger sound, King Khan body. There are more than 10 in total point, and there are only 2 soul skills that have not been promoted. One is Shockwave, which has reached the 9th level point. The other is the 36 consecutive slashes of the Wind Demon Wolf, reaching the 5th level point. He hadn't practiced much of these 2 soul skills, and they all hung up by chance point up to now. He has a lot of free hang up space in his hand, but there is no soul skill worth hanging up point. Of course, Hu Jiu is also embarrassed now. There are too many spirit abilities in his hand, and they are useful in all aspects. The spirit abilities of ordinary abilities cannot be looked down upon. Unless they can arouse his interest, he is not going to waste the hang-up seat. On this day, Hu Jiu brought Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, and Ning Rangrong, a group of 4 to Bing Ho Liangayan. Come on. Tang Heo looked at them lightly, but Hu Jiu was keenly aware that Tang Heo was very excited, but his excitement was hidden deeper. Haha, I'm afraid Uncle Heo has been waiting for this day for a long time. Hu Jiu joked. You brat, dare to make fun of me. Tang Heo slapped Hu Jiu on the back of his head angrily, with such force that he almost stumbled. Yeah, bringing Yin back to life is something I've been thinking about in my dreams. This day is finally here. Tang Heo patted Hu Jiu on the shoulder twice and said with emotion, Uncle Heo, Aunt Yin will be resurrected soon. You should be happy. Xiao Wu comforted her obediently. Yes, I should be happy. Tang Heo raised his head, trying hard not to let the crystals in his eyes fall. The man didn't cry easily, but he didn't get to the point of sadness. Tang Heo's excitement could be imagined when he learned that Yin was about to break through to become a 100,000-year soul beast. Yin sacrificed to protect him. Since Yin was gone, he has lived in guilt all his life, but Hu Jiu used his method to make her grow and resurrect. This great kindness and great virtue, he was unrewarding. Let's start then. Don't let Auntie Yin level up. Hu Jiu looked up at the blue silver grass that was moving with the wind because she sensed their arrival and said softly, For nearly 2 years, as long as she has time, Hu Jiu will persistently come to the Eye of Ice and Fire and use the field of ice and fire to bless Yin so that she can grow faster. After constant use and hanging up, Hu Jiu's realm of ice and fire kept rising. If he fully opened up the realm of ice and fire, even Tang Heo, who was in the title Douluo realm, would be greatly affected, and his strength would be suppressed. Tang Heo nodded and watched Hu Jiu's actions silently. Beside him, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, and Ning Rangrong also looked at Hu Jiu expectantly. The 100,000-year-old soul beast transforms into a human form, a scene that will never be seen in a lifetime. They are also looking forward to it. It's just a pity that Tang San, who was supposed to be the protagonist, was absent. I have to say, this is a pity. But this is no wonder Hu Jiu, who made his ice and fire domain hang up. If it is an ordinary person, if you want to improve the power of the domain, you can only use it continuously and understand it through watermill work. How can someone like Hu Jiu hang up directly? Cheating. In this way, Yin's growth rate is getting faster and faster, approaching the limit of 100,000 years of cultivation in a short period of time. To do business, Hu Jiu also became serious. Looking up, the Bingho Liangai in front of me has changed greatly, and all I can see is a piece of blue silver grass, thick roots, lush branches and leaves. The entire Binghuo Liangai, except for the blue silver grass, no longer there are no other plants. Even the spring eye of the ice and fire eyes was dried up, because Hu Jiu took the most important dragon pill, and Yin absorbed the energy inside. As for the precious herbs that originally grew around the eyes of ice and fire, they were long ago ruthlessly pulled out by Tang Heo, his beloved wife. Speaking of which, Hu Jiu also got some herbs that are hard to find in the outside world. It's just that, because Tang San has already scraped it once, the remaining herbs have a very low age, and can only be regarded as good supplements. Even so, if it is sold outside, it is also a precious medicine worth $1,000. Zao. Jiu, please. When Hu Jiu came to Yin's body, a beautiful figure floated out from the blue silver grass. At this time, Yin's phantom was like the real thing. From the outside, it could not be seen that she had anything to do with the real person. The difference. Haha, Auntie Yin, you're welcome. Tang San is my brother growing up. I'm very happy to be able to help you. Hu Jiu smiled. Not to mention, because of Tang San's relationship, even without him, just because of Yin's stunning figure and gentle and quiet temperament, Hu Jiu would have brought her back to life. Okay. Yin's eyes became more tender after hearing Hu Jiu's sincere words. Under the eyes like a puddle of clear water, Hu Jiu's eyes dodged slightly, but he scolded Tang Heo in his heart. He didn't know that he was a blessing from several lifetimes to be able to marry such a peerless beauty. Open. Hu Jiu's thoughts moved, and countless blue and red light spots appeared around his body. At this moment, the entire ice and fire eyes were shrouded in his domain. In the field of ice and fire, Yin's body began to shake the branches and leaves cheerfully. Under the cover of the field, the blue silver grass in the eyes of the two instruments of ice and fire gently rhythm, and along with the rhythm, a golden light radiated from it. At this moment, the entire sunset forest was restless, and all the soul fights in the forest were throbbing and lurking in the safest position. The vast energy fluctuations made them feel terrified, as if a catastrophe was imminent, and they did not dare to make the slightest movement. In the sunset forest, all the blue silver grasses seemed to have been summoned by their emperor, unreservedly releasing their own life breath. Countless blue dots of light emerged from these blue silver grasses and gathered together, like a river of stars in the sky, converging towards the eyes of the two eyes of ice and fire where Yin was located. This is the people of the blue silver grass dedicated to their emperor, and they will use their own lives to regenerate their emperor in the eyes of ice and fire. Yin's body is changing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The huge branches and leaves grow rapidly and extend to every corner of the eyes of ice and fire. In the end, they are no longer satisfied. The branches and leaves begin to stretch and climb over the valley, begin to invade the sunset forest. In everyone's perception, Yin's aura of life began to soar. As far as Hu Jiu felt, Yin's life aura had surpassed that of Daming and Erming in the Stardao Great Forest. You must know that Daming and Erming became 200,000-year-old soul beasts under the cultivation of Hu Jiu, but Yin surpassed them in terms of vitality by virtue of the blue silver grass's endless growth characteristics. Chapter 404, Breaking the Cocoon into a Butterfly. Boom. At this moment, Tang Heo and Xiao Wu, who were standing beside them, also became nervous. Yin has changed too much, especially those who are standing relatively close. The feeling is even clearer. The huge soul power seems to be endless, wave after wave, and Yin refuses to come, as if swallowing everything, no matter how much power she can eat. The rich blue light covered Hu Jiu's entire field of ice and fire for a while. Under the dazzling blue light, the original red and blue light all turned into a blue light like blue silver grass thanks to the contributions of countless blue silver grasses. Not only Yin has benefited, but Hu Jiu has also benefited a lot. In the blue ocean like the Milky Way, Hu Jiu suddenly noticed that a vigorous vitality suddenly joined, helping he maintains the consumption of the ice and fire domain without him paying any price. It was as if Hu Jiu's ice and fire domain was created for this moment. With the blessing of the ice and fire domain, Yin's body gained explosive growth, and the breath of life was as majestic as the sea. Change has continued. At this time, Yin's appearance has undergone earth-shaking changes. The huge branches and leaves are not scattered, but the core of Yin's body is the main body. All the branches and leaves are gathered together, and each branch and leaf contains a huge amount of energy. Golden stripes fill every branch and leaf, and the noble and elegant golden stripes are transparent and shiny, as if telling the mystery of this world. All the branches and leaves congealed together to form a large cocoon of branches and leaves with a diameter of about 20 meters. As time passed, the life fluctuations in the large cocoon calmed down, like the tranquility before the storm. Tang Heo clenched his fists tightly, watching the changes of the cocoon without blinking, his expression full of expectation and worry. Uncle Heo, don't worry, this is a good thing. Yin's current situation is a sign of becoming 100,000-year soul beast. As long as she passes this level, she can choose again, or become a human, or continue become a soul beast. Xiao Wu saw Tang Heo's worry and signaled him not to worry. This kind of special situation, only Xiao Wu, who is also a 100,000-year soul beast, is the clearest. Yin was originally a 100,000-year-old soul beast incarnated as a human being. Although Yin now had another chance to choose, Xiao Wu was certain that she would definitely choose to become a human again. Because she is in the human world and has a husband and children who love her the most. Even if God gives her another chance, her choice will still be the same. This kind of change lasted for more than 10 days. The big blue cocoon slowly turned golden, as if experiencing reincarnation. The golden light became more and more intense out of general. All of a sudden, all the blue silver grass of the two eyes of ice and fire suddenly rioted, and all the branches and leaves of the blue silver grass fell in one direction, as if they were welcoming the emperor. Who? Tang Heo shouted with murderous intent, and two icy eyes looked towards the direction blue silver grass pointed. Now is the critical moment of his wife's rebirth. As long as anyone dares to come to disturb them, they will be killed without mercy. The direction of Tang Heo's line of sight officially entered the exit of ice and fire. Time froze, and a tall and handsome figure appeared in front of everyone, but his eyes contained a strong and irreversible evil spirit, and the accumulation of the evil spirit made the eyes of the person who came full of scarlet blood. In the eyes of the people who came, they seemed to feel the monstrous slaughter and countless crimes. Little San, it's the third brother, what's the matter with you? When everyone saw the appearance of the person who came, they finally confirmed who was coming. That's right, the person who came was Tang San, who entered the capital of slaughter. At this time, he had already crossed the road to hell, understood the realm of killing gods, and his combat power had been surprisingly improved. As soon as he left the slaughter city, Tang San couldn't hold back his longing. He traveled day and night and hurried back. Dad, what's wrong with mom? Tang San's figure changed, stepping on a ghostly pace, appearing in front of everyone in an instant like a teleportation. Arriving in front of Tang Heo, Tang San thumped and knelt on his knees, his scarlet eyes filled with tears, and his body bowed in front of his father. Don't worry, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You came back just in time. You can see your mother soon. Get up. Let's witness the miracle moment together. Tang Heo didn't bother to ask Tang Heo for a while. 3 experienced. At this moment, he just wanted to witness Yin's rebirth. The matter of his son, let's talk about it later. With his eyes, of course he could see that there was a small problem in Tang San's spirit, but it wasn't a big deal. That was how he came here back then. And before sending his son into the capital of slaughter, he had expected this scene. And he had already found a solution, so he was not worried. You mean mother will be resurrected soon? Tang San wiped away his tears and asked in surprise. Although Tang San wanted to express his joy, under those eyes full of murder, he didn't look like it, especially because he was excited. The murderer aura in his body burst out involuntarily. Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Ning Rang Rang couldn't stand this momentum. He only felt chills all over his body and stayed away from Tang San with a look of fear. Be quiet for Laozi, don't get excited. Tang Heo slapped Tang San with a slap, his face embarrassed. He felt that he had miscalculated. This kid, the evil spirit on his body actually accumulated more than he was back then, and he didn't know how much this kid caused in the capital of slaughter. Murder. Yes, Dad. Tang San bowed respectfully to Tang Heo, trying to show respect, but what he released was still murder. Snapped. Don't talk, just stay and go. Tang Heo slapped him again, slapped back the killing aura on him. Seeing this, Tang San nodded, coolly coming to the other side of the golden cocoon, passing by the three of Xiao Wu, but he didn't even look at them. Uncle. Heo, this is Xiao-san. Xiao Wu hesitated for a while, then raised her hand, thinking about whether to be Tang San. Fatty. Good guy, this kid is swollen. Seeing that they don't even say hello, and what's even more exaggerated, is that they even ignore them. Haha, there's something wrong with this kid. Let's leave him alone now, and after Ryan is resurrected, let's clean him up. Tang Heo smiled awkwardly. Boom. As if Ryan had been waiting for Tang San's return. Seeing Tang San's return, the golden cocoon that wrapped her immediately changed amazingly. A golden light burst out from the big cocoon, and the dazzling light shone like a golden sun, filling the entire ice and fire eyes. The blue silver grass of the entire Sunset's forest shook its branches and leaves at this moment, as if witnessing the Emperor's rebirth. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 405 Tang San 039's Return. Successful. My Yin is back. The golden cocoon broke open, revealing the figure of Tang Heo, who was thinking about it. In midair, the golden beam of light was suddenly broken and turned into a little golden light, spreading in every corner of the Sunset Forest. The golden light fell on the ground, and at this moment, all the blue silver grass on the ground seemed to be nourished and began to grow frantically. My people, thank you for your selfless dedication. It is because of you that I was given a new life. This light of life is my reward to you. I wish you an early evolution and become a member of the Soul Beast. Yin's soft voice rang in the ears of every blue silver grass, and the voice reached every corner of the Sunset Forest. But her voice was only heard by the blue silver grass. Others, whether they were humans or spirit beasts, didn't notice it at all. The brilliance dissipated, and Yin's figure was revealed. She looked as if she was in her 20s or 30s, with a gentle smile on her beautiful face, but she just stood there pretty, and it attracted everyone's attention. Her body was shrouded in the soft light of life, her long blue dress covered her whole body, and her noble and quiet temperament was supported by her unearthly face, and every frown and smile was full of charm. In the blue eyes, there is a look like water. Heyo. I'm back. Yin's gentle eyes reflected Tang Heo's shadow, and he called out, full of thoughts. Yin. Tang Heo stared at this figure in a daze, and didn't even know where he was, as if this figure was the only one in the world worthy of his attention. Hearing this call, Yin's clothes fluttered, and ran towards Tang Heo. The two hugged together, as if no one else was around, only each other was left in their eyes. The familiar taste made Yin intoxicated. Heo, I have wronged you over the years. I can see your suffering. Now we are finally together again. In the future, we will never be separated again. It's my fault. It's because I didn't protect you well and caused you to suffer so much damage. Yin, I'm sorry for you. Tang Heo burst into tears, and he was beyond moved. Woo. Woo woo woo. Yin and Tang Heo hugged each other and cried, telling each other their thoughts. Wow. It's so touching. I envy Aunt Yin and Uncle Heo for their relationship. Seeing this scene, Xiao Wu and Ning Rangrang's eyes were red, and they couldn't help crying. After being moved. Next to the two of them, Zhu Zuking, who had been silent for a long time, also had reddened eyes, as if he couldn't stand the scene, so he couldn't help turning his head, holding back the tears in his eyes. Let's go. Let's give this place to them, and let them have a good kiss. With a smile on Hu Jiu's face, he made fun of Yin and Tang Heo. He was very happy. This time Yin was resurrected, and he was not without gain. Thanks to the selfless dedication of all the blue silver grass in the entire Sunset's forest, he also picked up some bargains, and his level was raised from 87 to 8th. 18th grade. At his level, even if he is on hook 24 hours a day to practice, and he has 50 times the speed of cultivation, it will take at least 2 or 3 months to improve to 1 level. In other words, it only took him about 10 days, and it was worth 2 or 3 months of cultivation. Now, he is one step closer to becoming a titled Douluo. Little San, come here. Seeing Tang San hiding beside him, looking at his father and mother stiffly, Hu Jiu waved to him. Point this kid, I'm afraid that the killing is too heavy, and it has reached the level of affecting the heart. Point it may take a long time for him to return to normal. Point hearing Hu Jiu shout, Tang San's eyes regained clarity, and he raised his foot to follow his footsteps. Come on, eat a piece of ginseng first, slowly, and tell me how you got like this. Hu Jiu threw a piece of holy light to restore ginseng, looked up at Tang San, and waited for his explanation. Point is holy light restoration. Ginseng has the ability to expel abnormal states. If it was the initial state, I'm afraid that only one can be cured, but now Tang San has accumulated too much murder, and he has to take care of it slowly. Taking Hu Jiu Shengguan restoration ginseng, Tang San ate it without thinking. Point. Although his temperament has been affected a lot, his relationship with Hu Jiu and others has not changed. It is just because of the influence of the murder that makes his feelings indifferent. From time to time, there will be a wave of murder or due to emotional fluctuations in this state. He is no longer suitable to stay in the human world. Point. Because I have stayed in the killing capital for a long time, I'm used to the state that everyone is an enemy, and it is difficult to return to the original state for a while. Point. The holy light restored ginseng into the body, making Tang San's eyes much clearer. A stiff smile appeared on his face, and he began to slowly explain everything he encountered in the killing capital. Point. For example, in the capital of killing, there is only killing, no friends, and no friends. For example, he met Ulina there, because the blue-silver grass martial spirit had already evolved into the blue-silver emperor. As soon as he met Ulina, the two knew each other. Point. But because she didn't reveal Xiao Wu's identity like in the original book, she wasn't listed as an enemy by Bibidang. Point. The two only regarded each other as opponents, not as mortal enemies. Of course, there were some reasons why Tang San had concealed it. In his heart, Wu Hundian was the murderer who killed his mother, and to Hulina, it was nothing but falsehood. Point. But things are unpredictable, because they want to participate in the killing field of hell. The two still joined forces, and finally they braved the road to hell together, sharing weal and woe. Point. After some ambiguous and indescribable events, the feelings between the two changed rapidly. Point. And because there was no Xiao Wu, Tang San's turbulent heartbeat was even more intense. Although it didn't fit together naturally, there was a lot of affection between him and Hulina. So, your sweetheart is Hulina? Hu Jiu raised the corner of his mouth and asked with interest. Point. He was very interested in this. Knowing that Hulina was from the spirit hall, Tang San was still moved. He had to say that fate couldn't stop him. It's not my sweetheart, it's just for admiration. She and I are destined to be enemies, and it's impossible to be together. Tang San shook his head, his mood fluctuated a bit violently, and his murderer Sora skyrocketed. Heh, are there any outsiders here? You are still stubborn. If you like it, you like it. There's nothing to admit it. Hu Jiu pouted, with a look of contempt. This kid is hypocritical and duplicitous. I'm so greedy for people's bodies, and I still say what I don't like. TSK. Tang San opened his mouth, wanting to explain, but looking at Hu Jiu's playful gaze, he finally closed his mouth honestly. Haha, that's right, isn't it? Bibidang's disciple. When my brother is ready, just grab her directly. Hu Jiu laughed. Chapter 406 Level 90. Ayan was resurrected, and the two eyes of ice and fire were also destroyed. Tang San and his family discussed it, and simply bought a mansion next to Hu Jiu, and the two became neighbors. To say that now, Tang San is not someone who is short of money. His hidden weapon is very popular in the 7 treasure glazed tile school. Point. I also made a lot of money for this, and buying a mansion is just a trifle. Point. After the family moved in, it seemed to be lively. Point. Xiao Wu and the others had a very good chat with Ayan. In their spare time, they visited each other, and their relationship was too good. Point. On Hu Jiu's side, because he picked up Hui, Emma, and old Jack, his mansion was very lively. Point. In addition, from time to time, Damu Bei, Mahanjan, and Oscar would still come to the door, and it would be even more lively. Point. In addition, knowing that Hu Jiu is a food type sold Douluo, and it is also enshrined by Kun Ringsu. This makes those nobles in the city very optimistic. just wandering around the door of Hu Jiu's mansion all day, looking forward to finding a chance to cling point. However, these people, Hu Jiu Tang, ignored them. The reason why these powerful people gave gifts and flattered was not because they valued his strength. Among them, Kain Mingsu was also included. Therefore, in this world, strength is the most real thing. If you want to gain status, you must have strength. If you want to be flattered. Because the killing was too heavy, Tang San's mental state was affected. In this state, he could only use time to slowly recuperate. Usually, Hu Jiu prepared some holy light restoration ginseng for him, and Tang He arranged for him to enter the Yuxuan in Xiandao City, where Tang San needed to learn etiquette with his aunt, so as to wash away the lead and control the killing gas. For this reason, the originally planned trip to Poseidon Island was forced to be delayed for a while. It just so happened that Hu Jiu's spirit power still had room for improvement. When Tang San took control of his killing aura, Hu Jiu would almost break through the 9th level. Half a year passed in a blink of an eye. Heavendale City, Yuzuan. A young man dressed in white slowly walked out of the hall with a delicate and beautiful golden harp in his arms. The azure blue eyes are as calm as water, and the long sky blue hair is scattered on the shoulders, and the whole person exudes a noble and elegant momentum. Like a noble man who came out of an ancient painting. This is Yuzuan's annual graduation ceremony, and the man standing on the stage is Tang San, whose formal temperament has changed drastically. Below the hall, some lovely and charming female students stared at Tang San with fascinated eyes. Mahanjan and Oscar almost drooling with envy with those fascinated little eyes on the stage. Tang San didn't speak, he saw him sitting on a special chair, looking at the people under the stage, especially the position of Hu Jiu and the others, smiled slightly, nodded to them, then raised his hands, softly start to play. A quiet and elegant clear sound flows from the harp, accompanied by the sound of music. The entire hall begins to quiet down, and some even close their eyes and sink into the artistic conception of the music. The poetic notes make people feel as if they are in the beautiful nature. The birds in the sky are flying freely, and the beautiful butterflies are dancing gracefully. Not to mention other things, just Tang San's appearance, coupled with the quiet temperament revealed when he played the kin, all made people fall into it. It's amazing. I didn't expect that in just half a year, Xiaozhen completed his studies. I have to say, this is really amazing. In the past 6 months, Tang San's progress has been too great, not because of how high his level is, but because his killing aura has been restrained well. Back then, when he first came back, he had an astonishing murderous aura, and he looked at people as if he wanted to kill someone. But now it's different. With Hu Jiu's perception ability, he can't even detect the murderous aura in him. From this, it can be seen that his control over the killing energy has been elevated to the stage of ecstasy, and the spirit infected by the killing energy has also recovered. This is the only skill that his aunt, Tang Yuhe, has given him in the past 6 months. This point, Tang San undoubtedly did very well. Under Tang Yuhe's rigorous training, the course that originally took 3 years to complete was completed in just half a year, and he still graduated with honors. And in the past 6 months, because of Tang San's outstanding performance, he was entangled by Zuken, who was also Yuzuan's student. Without Ulina in front, maybe Tang San really couldn't stand Zook's offensive. It's a pity that it's slow and slow. After seeing Ulina's hot body and hot feelings, Tang San somewhat despised this kind of gentle and intellectual girl. After the song was played, Tang San stood up, performed a court etiquette that no one could fault, and then slowly left the stage. Third, brother, you are amazing. I didn't expect you to learn something as boring as etiquette so quickly. After Tang San joined them, Ning Rangrang said in admiration. She hated things about etiquette the most. She didn't expect Tang San to feel so handy and natural. Haha, as long as you work hard, an iron pestle can be ground into a needle. If you want to learn, I believe you can do it. Tang San smiled comfortingly. I'm not studying, I'm bored to death. Ning Rangrang stuck out his tongue mischievously. Okay, let's find a place to celebrate. Since Xiaozhen has solved his troubles, don't delay. Get ready. We'll leave for Sigurd Island in 2 days. Hu Jiu rubbed Ning Rangrang's head, smiled softly. Okay, it's finally time to leave. I've been staying at home, and I'm getting moldy. Xiao Wu clapped her palms with a look of anticipation on her face. Even the normally quiet Zhu Zuking's eyes lit up. She didn't want to go out to play. Hu Jiu said that in Sea God Island, they can quickly improve their strength. And Zhu Zuking has always been very persistent in his own strength. Knowing that there is such a good place, he has long been looking forward to it. That's fine. I'll treat you today. Let's celebrate properly. Tang San said in a big voice. Go, have a good drink today. Mu Bei, Mahangjin, Oscar and the others cheered and walked in front of them, shoulder to shoulder. Originally, if it wasn't for Hu Jiu's breakthrough to the 9th rank and 1 spirit ring to become a spirit saint, Tang San wouldn't have gone with them so quickly. Because Tang Heo originally planned to let Tang San go to the Clear Sky sect to recognize his ancestor and return to the sect, but when Hu Jiu knew what Tang Heo was thinking, he hurriedly stopped it. Just a joke. Because of Yun's affairs, Tang Heo and the Clear Sky sect had a very unpleasant quarrel. Let Tang San go back at this time. Isn't he looking for abuse? If you want to go, you have to have the strength to recognize your ancestors. After Hu Jiu's dissuasion, Tang Heo also felt that it was justified. Anyway, he has come here for so many years, so he is not in a hurry. Chapter 407 Departure from Poseidon Island. The next morning was sunny and windy. Ning Fengzi, Bone Douluo, and Sword Douluo from the 7 Treasure, Glazed Tile School. Flender, Zhao Walqi, and Liu Erlang from Shrek Academy. Kian Ringsu of the Heaven Dao Imperial family. A group of people rarely gathered together to see off Hu Jiu and others. They are about to go to Sea God Island, and I don't know how long it will take to come back. All the people close to Hu Jiu and others came to send their blessings before leaving. Brother, Hu, let's say goodbye here. I don't know how long it will take to see each other. My brother has nothing to say. I just hope you can remember that no matter how long you go out and enshrine your position, your brother will always keep it for you. Kian Ringsu stretched out her hand. The attendant behind him came up with a plate of wine glasses. Kian Ringsu poured wine for Hu Jiu and others, then filled a glass and drank it in one gulp. Thank you, Brother Zhu, for your concern. I will come back safely. Hu Jiu was in a complicated mood. This bitch really regarded him as a younger brother, thinking of him as a big man. He still has to call this woman's brother. It's really unpleasant to think about it. Wait, I have to ask you to call me good brother in the future. On the other side, Ning Feng's he was comforting his daughter, telling her to pay attention to safety after leaving home. etc. Zhao Jiu, remember to protect Rangrang. If you hurt her in the slightest, I'll ask you. Ning Fengzi patted Hu Jiu on the shoulder twice and said viciously. He was so angry with Hu Jiu that he had to go to Sea God Island in a good life. Others don't know about that place. Can he still not know it? The place on Sea God Island is said to have come and go, and even he is terrified of that place. But I didn't expect this kid Hu Jiu to keep persuading him to run to his death. But he couldn't stop him. It's fine for him to go by himself. He has to bring his precious daughter. It's fine if Ning Fengzi doesn't hate him to death. Uncle Ning, don't worry. I don't do anything I'm not sure about. Wait for my good news. It won't be long before I send Rangrang back completely. Hu Jiu smiled. He didn't care about Ning Fengzi's attitude. Strength is the basis for speaking. Humph. Ning Fengzi glanced at him angrily. If it wasn't for the fact that this kid was already at level 90, he would have to let Sword Douluo and Bone Douluo clean him up. It's a pity that Hu Jiu has grown up and he can't do anything about it. Goodbye. After a glass of wine, Hu Jiu, Zhao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Ning Rangrang, Tang San, Mu Bei, Mahangjin, Oscar, and the others stepped onto the carriage and waved goodbye to everyone. Except for Meng Yan. All the Shrek 9 monsters gathered and headed to Sea God Island. And Meng still wanted to go, but Lord Shepelang was reluctant to go for fear of any accident on this trip, so she would go. However, Meng still missed an opportunity. The same is true for Tailang of the Lizzie family. Originally, Tailang was quite stubborn and wanted to go with him secretly, but he almost broke his leg by Taitan, and he would still be recovering at home. The carriage left Xiandao City and headed westward. Sea God Island was very far away from Heavendao City, and it would take at least 2 months To reach the destination point on the way, they had to pass through the sea within the Xiandao Empire, and then take a boat to reach their destination point this time. The carriage was specially arranged for them by Kan Ringsu. In the spacious box, all kinds of daily necessities were prepared, and there was no problem in accommodating 8 people to rest point before leaving. Hu Jiu and the others also purchased a lot, filling up the soul tools with these materials. It is enough for the 8 of them to live for half a year without any problem. Because there were female companions in the box, Kan Ringsu thoughtfully separated the box into 2 rooms. One was requisitioned by Hu Jiu, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, and Ning Rangrong, and the other belonged to Tang San and others. Hu Jiu, Wuhan Ginseng, level 90 food type soul Douluo. Xiao Wu, martial soul Moonlight Rabbit, level 76 agility attack type soul Saint. Tang San, the blue silver emperor of Wuhan, the 72nd level control system soul Sage. Damu Bei, martial soul White Tiger, 70th level storm type soul Emperor Zhu Zuking, martial soul 9 life Civet, 67th level agility attack type soul Emperor Mahanjan, martial soul Phoenix, the 60th level attack type battle soul King. Oscar, martial soul Sausage, level 60 food type auxiliary soul King. Ning Rangrong, martial spirit 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda, 66th level auxiliary spirit emperor. In the past 6 months, not only has Hu Jiu's level been raised to the 9th level, but even Damu Bei, Mahanjan, and Oscar have also been stuck in the Great Realm. Damu Bei was level 70, while Mahanjan and Oscar were level 60. Because Hu Jiu wanted to create a god-given spirit ring on Sigurd Island, he specifically did not let them hunt for spirit rings. After all, compared with the god-given spirit ring, hunting by oneself is time-consuming and labor-intensive, and it may not be suitable for oneself. You must know that the spirit ring bestowed by the god-given spirit ring is the most suitable one for oneself. There is such a simple way. Why go far away? 9th. Brother, do you really think there is a divine inheritance on Sigurd Island? Oscar asked curiously. Of course there is. As far as I know, Sigurd Island has Sigurd inheritance. As long as you pass the test, it doesn't matter whether you can inherit the Sigurd position. The reward for passing the test is enough for you. Hu Jiu said with a smile. You know, in the original book, the place where Tang San's strength grew the fastest was on Sigurd Island, and together, Damu Bei and the others were also exposed, and the speed of strength increased rapidly. Hu Jiu reckoned that, if they could successfully complete the Sigurd test, each of them would have the possibility of becoming a titled Douluo. Another year has passed, and Hu Jiu's 7th spirit ring's cooldown time has passed, and it can be used again. And this opportunity was used by him on Zhu Zuking. He was close to each other, and Hu Jiu was the same. Over the years, Zhu Zuking's dedication to him is not to mention. In order to follow him, he even ignored his own family. The most difficult thing to endure the grace of a beautiful woman is whether Hu Jiu is a ruthless person, and it is beneficial. Of course, he must arrange for his own woman first. Moreover, among the Shrek people, Zhu Zuking's cultivation talent was the lowest. If it weren't for her working harder than others, she would not have achieved what she is today. As for the test on Sigurd Island, the qualifications of spirit masters were very important. For this reason, Hu Jiu used the opportunity of spirit evolution on Zhu Zuking. Zhu Zuking's spirit cat, the ghost cat, evolved into a civet cat with 9 lives. The 9 life civet belongs to the top level martial arts. People who have a 9 life civet will grow a tail for every 10th level, and one tail can add an extra life. Zhu Zuking is now at level 67, so he has 6 lives. The key is that after Zhu Zuking's martial spirit evolved into a civet cat, his appearance became more charming, and he was born with a charming temperament. Every frown and smile seemed to be tempting. For this reason, Hu Jiu ruthlessly cleaned up Damu Bei, Mahanjan, and Oscar had a meal. Otherwise, their eyes would not be honest. Chapter 408 Search. It can be predicted that after Martial Soul evolves into a 9 lives of it, going to Seagate Island will definitely no longer be the lowest black level 5 test, at least the black level 6 test, or even the black level 7 test point in the original book, apart from Tang San, who got the 9th test of the sea god, because of the heart of the sea god. Damu Bei, Mahangjin, and Oscar got the 6th test of the black level. And Ning Rang got the 7th test of the top level point. Now that the sea god's heart is not in Tang San's hands, this assessment standard will change. Hu Jiu and the others were bumpy all the way on the carriage, and they were not in the mood to meditate and practice. When night fell, everyone woke up from their slumber. After all, the journey to Seagate Island took a long time, so they decided to hurry during the day, rest at night, and do the necessary daily meditation practice. Of course, the horses also need adequate rest. Just do it. Tang San took out water and food from the bright moonlit night of the 24 bridges, while Damu Bei and the other men went to look for firewood and meat. In the wild, the best food is of course barbecue. With their cultivation base, it is easy to find some soul beasts. The whole night was silent, and the next morning, when the sky was just dawn, the group continued to set off. On the way, except for the occasional break from the carriage, the rest of the time was spent on the road. In this way, Hu Jiu suffered. So many people stayed in the same carriage. Although they were separated, Hu Jiu didn't dare to be arrogant. Even though the beautiful woman was in her arms, she could only hold it back, and Xiao Wu was very naughty, seeing him endure it very hard, but also want to add fuel to the fire and tease it from time to time. HMPH, just wait for me. When we get to the next city, see how I clean up you guys. Hu Jiu gritted his teeth and said. After ZHU's Yuking's martial spirit evolved, his charm was even more astonishing. Just a few hazy glances could make people angry. And Xiao Wu's moonlight rabbit martial spirit made her look even more innocent and cute, and that small cherry mouth also made him infatuated. As for Ning Rang, it should be said that she deserves to be a little witch. She is crazy when she plays, and the process is indescribable. This walk is more than 10 days. During this period of time, Hu Jiu and Tang San were not idle. Because Hu Jiu still remembered that in the original book, they encountered a group of cruel wolf thieves on their way to Seagate Island. These wolf thieves are cruel by nature and destroy human nature. If you can encounter them, you can't let them go. Of course, the key was that he still remembered that the leader of this gang of wolf thieves had a soul bone. Although they came a few years earlier than the original book, if they found it, it would be a good thing to eliminate harm for the people. There are never too many things like spirit bones. You must know that in their current position, Xiao Wu, ZHU's Yuking, and Oscar did not get a single soul bone. Originally, ZHU's Yuking's left leg was assigned to ZHU's Yuking, but because Hu Jiu was in a hurry to hang up, she asked for it from her Hu Jiu and Tang San's perceptive abilities are so powerful, they are all within their perception as they travel along the waypoint. Under conscious exploration, they finally got something. Little San, are you saying that there is a village ahead where there are children playing wolf thieves? Hu Jiu looked at Tang San suspiciously, trying to see if he was serious. Yes, the name wolf thief is not something that a child can know, not to mention that this place is very remote in the western frontier of the Heaven Dao Empire, let alone children. Even some adults have never heard of wolf thief. Tang San seriously explained, no joke at all. Oh, so, people in this village should have heard of this name, even if they haven't seen the wolf thief. Hu Jiu's eyes brightened. If this is the case, they can really find the wolf thieves. Yeah. Tang San nodded affirmatively. Okay, then let's walk faster and inquire about the situation in the village ahead. Hu Jiu clapped his palms and made a decision. When the disciples of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School heard Hu Jiu's words, they immediately raised their whips and accelerated their progress. Xiao Jiu, what did you find? Xiao Wu asked curiously. A group of cruel robbers. When they are found, I'm afraid there will be a fierce battle. Hu Jiu raised his eyebrows. Ah, you going to fight? I like it the most. Xiao Wu suddenly regained her energy. After traveling for so long, she felt that her bones were rusted. Don't worry, I won't forget you. Hu Jiu looked helpless. Xiao Wu was still so aggressive. The small mountain village is not very far away from them, only 2 or 3 miles away, and it only takes a while to get there. This small mountain village is not big, with only 100 households. It is even smaller than the Holy Spirit village. The village is surrounded by a large area of arable land. When you walk in, you can see that some farmers are busy in the arable land. At the door of the village, some children are playing games, and the news Tang San got just now was officially from this group of children who were playing around. Let's go down and have a look. Hu Jiu got off the carriage first and then waved to Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, it's up to you. Ask how these children know about the wolf thief. To deal with children, of course, it is better for a big kid like Xiao Wu to go into action. After all, who can refuse a beautiful big sister? Look at me. Xiao Wu jumped towards the group of children, taking out a handful of candy in her hand. Sure enough, after just a while, Xiao Wu became involved with them, and by the way also got the news that Hu Jiu wanted to know. I got the news about the wolf thieves. It is said that someone has discovered the wolf thieves in the depths of the Wanghei Mountains not far away. Xiao Wu's face was a little ugly. Just now, from the mouths of these children, she finally knew what kind of existence the wolf thief was. The wolf thief can be said to be a human being, or it can be said to be a soul beast. They are a combination of humans and hurricane wolves. This special species is a half wolf, half human monster. They are born with the physical qualities and some innate abilities of hurricane wolves, and they also have good intelligence. Wherever there are wolf thieves, the people there will be unlucky. These wolf thieves often look for some low-armed villages as their targets. The men are killed as food, and the women are kept as tools for reproduction. It will become their food. Cruel and bloodthirsty. It turns out that there are also wolf thieves in the Heaven Dao Empire. Daimyo Bei's eyes gradually turned up, and his face became cold. Why, there are wolf thieves in the Star Luo Empire? Tang San asked. Well, in our Star Luo Empire, we have found wolf thieves raging several times before. These wolf thieves can't be kept. We must find them as soon as possible, and we can't let them develop, otherwise there will be endless trouble. Although this is the territory of the Shandao Empire, but Daimyo Bei still decided to get rid of them. Chapter 409 Wolf Thief. Let's go. Solve it early. Come back to rest early. It's just a group of wolf thieves. They are unlucky when they meet us. Hu Jiu grinned, showing deep white teeth at the corners of his mouth. Hu Jiu would not be polite to this kind of thing. That is not even a human being. Tang San, Daimyo Bei and the others looked at each other, showing bloodthirsty killing intent. Shrek's 8 eccentrics. But there are no soft-hearted people. As soon as he said it, Ning Rang took the lead in blessing them with the agility boost, while Hu Jiu waved his right hand. And cyan rays of light shot at everyone force, which can reduce the weight of the crowd and increase their speed. With these two blessings, the speed of everyone has more than doubled. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking were the fastest, running ahead to clear the way. Oscar and Ning Rang were in the middle of the team. After Hu Jiu, Tang San, Daimyo Bei, and Mahangjin were cut off, the group of 8 kept in formation and headed towards Wanghei mountain range. Hu Jiu and others were extremely fast, and the distance of 100 miles was only half an hour away. Entering the mountain range is equivalent to coming to Tang San's home field. After 2 years of training, Tang San's blue-silver domain has become extremely powerful, especially in the forest, where all the blue-silver grass are his eyesight, and the speed of finding prey is faster than Hu Jiu is fast. Not long after entering the mountain range, Tang San discovered the wolf thief's trail through the blue-silver grass. I found it, come with me. Tang San tapped his toes, and the man jumped out quickly, running to the front of the team, to lead the way. Behind him, Hu Jiu and the others followed silently, and the murderous intent on their bodies became a little heavier. Hu Jiu's expression changed, and an invisible spiritual network spread out, connecting Tang San and the others. This is the phantom space skill given to him by the left-handed soulbone. It can not only improve the spiritual power of allies, but also form a spiritual network, connecting each other and making it easier for everyone to communicate. Look, this is the wolf thief's lair. Under the leadership of Tang San, everyone came to the depths of Wanhei mountain range, and what they saw was a simple and dilapidated camp point in the camp. Some wolf thieves were lying lazily on the ground, and only a few paid attention to the surrounding environment from time to time, as if they were patrolling point. What's more, they are just looking for fun, and insulting some captured women. This scene, at close range, was clearly sensed by Hu Jiu. Kill it. There is no need to plan, just go straight. Hu Jiu narrowed his eyes, waved his hand fiercely, and gave the attack order. As soon as the words fell, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking, who had injured for a long time, turned into a phantom, and rushed out. Behind him, Damu Bei, Mahangjin, and Tang San also acted respectively. Damu Bei and Mahangjin possessed their martial spirits, and rushed out with violent power. Tang San moved the ghost shadows, and followed closely behind Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking. Hu Jiu, on the other hand, took Oscar and Ning Rang to walk behind the crowd. To kill the enemy, it's enough to have Tang San and the others. Their auxiliary spirit masters are only responsible for blessing everyone. Kill. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking were like gods of death. They rushed into the wolf thief camp, and started the killing first. By the time the wolf thieves reacted, they had already suffered heavy losses. Not to be outdone, Tang San, Damu Bei, and Mahangjin, who followed closely behind, were not to be outdone. Their fists and feet roared, and flames rose, like blue silver grass, like poisonous snakes. All the means were used together, killing the wolf thieves to throw away their armor. This camp is not very big, and all the wolf thieves add up to more than 200. In front of Xiao Wu and the other 5 powerful soul masters, these wolf thieves have no room to resist. Pirate leaders are not their opponents either. The wolf howl sounded, and the camp was full of the screams of wolf thieves. These wolf thieves had no father at all. After discovering their killing, they even frantically fought with them regardless of the difference in strength. Soon, with the wolf howling, all the wolf thieves gathered, surrounded Xiao Wu and the others, and attacked frantically. Drink, little bunny, kill me. Xiao Wu let out a coquettish drink, and instantly threw the spirit avatar lying on her shoulders out. In midair, the little rabbit rose in the wind, and quickly turned into a giant rabbit that was 50 meters long and more than 20 meters high. Boom. In front of the giant rabbit, those wolf thieves were like weak chickens. They were injured when they were next to each other, and they died when they touched them. And soon there were huge casualties. Then I'll give you a little more fire. Hu Jiu smiled faintly, took out a ginseng with the 3 powers of wind, thunder, and evil in his hand, raised his hand and threw it, and the ginseng fell into the wolf thief group in a mysterious arc. Flash. Seeing what Hu Jiu threw over, Damu Bei and the others changed their expressions, disregarding the spirit abilities they were releasing, and instantly retreated from the combat range, staying far away. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking, who were familiar with Hu Jiu's soul skills, left one step earlier, hiding far away. Boom boom boom. Like thunder, a violent roar resounded in this mountain range in an instant, and the terrifying explosion made this mountain range suffer the pain it should not endure. Rocks flew and trees fell. The camp was severely damaged, and the wolf thief at the center of the explosion was flying around with his stumps. Not even a single complete corpse. Fuck. Brother Ninth, it's hard to come across a chance to do it. Why don't you leave us some? Hangjin and the others stared blankly at the camp, destroyed by Hu Jiu, their mouths open in shock. They had only heard the descriptions of Xiao Wu and Ning Rang about Hu Jiu's dark demon lightning bomb, but had never seen it with their own eyes. They only knew that it was a powerful attacking spirit ability point, but they didn't expect that the power was so terrifying. This was just a ginseng bomb. If there were several at the same time, they doubted whether they could withstand it. What? To keep? It's not for you to come and play. If you want to do it, there will be opportunities in the future. If it doesn't work, I can accompany you to practice. Hu Jiu glared at Mahangjin. You don't need to come out with a 9th brother. Just find me. I will give you the ultimate enjoyment. Damu Bei rubbed his fists, returned to his senses, and said with a wicked smile, Don't, big brother, I was wrong. Mahanjan immediately clasped his fists and begged for mercy. Okay, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and clean up. Gather those innocent women together and burn all the corpses of these wolf thieves. Hu Jiu waved his hand and told everyone to hurry up to work. His eyes fell on the corpse of the wolf thief leader. In his perception, on the corpse of the wolf thief leader, a group of extremely cohesive forces appeared after his death point, taking out a dagger. Hu Jiu slashed the thigh of Lang Thief's body, revealing the contents. It was a soul bone glowing with blue light, the official right leg bone of the bloodthirsty hurricane point. This spirit bone possesses an ability called Bloodthirsty Madness. After using it, it will put the body into a maddening state, increase its attack and defense by 100%, and increase its speed by 100%, but cannot use skills. And it will also devour the sanity of the host point. Although the ability is strong, there are also big shortcomings. Chapter 410, the right leg of the bloodthirsty hurricane. Haha, it's actually a spirit bone. We're lucky. Oscar leaned over to Hu Jiu and happily looked at the object with the flowing blue light point. Hearing Oscar's cry, the others didn't bother to deal with the corpse, and they all gathered around. Point Damubei looked at Tang San and asked suspiciously, Little San, do you think this thing was originally in the wolf thief, or did it get it from somewhere else? The wolf thief should not be regarded as a human being. It would be strange if it had its own. This is the first time I've seen a creature like a wolf thief. It's really hard to say, but no matter what, this soul bone is ours now. Let's think about how to distribute it. Saying that, Tang San looked at Hu Jiu. He discovered this spirit bone, and logically it should belong to him. But Hu Jiu already has a full set of spirit bones, so many spirit bones are also useful to him. Useless. That's right. Ninth brother, who do you think this spirit bone is for? Mahanjan asked expectantly. Point to them now. Although a soul bone is precious, it is not a heavy treasure. No matter who Hu Jiu assigns it, everyone will have no opinion. Well, I checked this soul bone, and it works pretty well. After absorbing it, it can give people a bloodthirsty maddening ability. This ability will make people go into a maddening state. Attack, defense, and speed are 3. All attributes are increased by 100%. But after using this ability, you can no longer use spirit skills. Hu Jiu checked the spirit bone in his hand, and then said, not being able to use spirit skills is just a small problem. After all, spirit bone abilities are used at critical times, but it has a bigger disadvantage. Its name has bloodthirsty, so when you use your ability, it will affect people's sanity and turn them into a monster who only knows how to kill. I have to say that this is a big flaw. It will actually affect your reason. So isn't this soul bone useless to everyone? Xiao Wu said regretfully. It's not completely useless. It's just affecting your senses. This is easy to handle, just like your moonlight rabbit. Won't it keep you awake and sensible? There is also Zuking's Netherworld soul suppressing bell, which has this soul skills. You can also not be affected by bloodthirsty madness. Hu Jiu smiled indifferently, turned to look at the crowd and said, so this soul bone can only be chosen from the two of them. Xiao Wu and Zhu King are both agility and attack type soul masters, and they win by speed. You can increase your strength without using soul skills, attack, defense, and speed. These 3 attributes are very helpful to their strength. I don't want it. I'd better give it to Sister Zhu King. Didn't you give Sister Zhu King a piece of spirit bone last time? This time you can make it up to her. Xiao Wu spoke first with a smile. Let's give it to Sister Wu. I'm not in a hurry. Both the attack and speed have increased by 100%. It's more suitable for Sister Xiao Wu. Zhu King shook his head and refused. Okay, stop arguing between the two of you. Xiao Wu is right. This time the spirit bone is given to Zhu King first. If there is a more suitable one in the future, then give it to Xiao Wu. Hu Jiu shoved the spirit bone into Zhu King. Hu Li said without refusal. Okay. Hu Jiu's domineering appearance made Zhu King's heart beat faster, and his cheeks blushed slightly. Okay, let's move faster, and we will send these innocent women out later. Hurry up to clean up, and try to rush back to the village to rest at night. Hu Jiu waved his hand, and settled the matter. No one objected to his arrangement. After all, the spirit bone was originally found by Hu Jiu. Moreover, Xiao Wu and Zhu King are indeed more suitable. Other people's use will affect their sanity point with Mahanjan, the phoenix martial spirit. It was very easy to clean up the corpse. Just put it on fire, and everything was burnt down. But the innocent women next were the most troublesome point, because it was deep in the mountains, and they were all taken captive. The previous village was destroyed by wolves long ago, that is to say, their home was gone. This time, everyone is a little embarrassed. Well, let's get them out first, and then go back to the place where we settled down to see if the village can take them in. At most, we can give them some money. Any problem that can be solved with money is not a problem. For Hu Jiu and others, it is just a small amount of money. Then, how to get them out? Tang San looked at these numb women in embarrassment. There were about 20 of these people, all of them as thin as firewood. Tang San even doubted whether they still had the strength to walk. This is easy. Just work hard for Xiao Wu and let her spirit avatar transport them out. Hu Jiu pointed at Xiao Wu and said, Xiao Wu's spirit avatar has no time limit and can exist forever, just like a spirit beast pet. A rabbit over 50 meters long and 20 meters high, not to mention more than 20 people, just a few more, can be shipped. Look at me, Xiao Wu rubbed the little rabbit in her arms and threw it out at once. In an instant, the little rabbit rose in the wind and instantly turned into a giant. Go back. For convenience, Hu Jiu and others also sat on the rabbit together. The huge rabbit was running fast in the mountains and forests, and everyone felt that the scene in front of them quickly passed by in front of them. This is too fast. Oscar thought about it and said excitedly, or we don't have to ride any carriages, just sit on the Wuhansin of Xiao Wuji. I'm afraid the speed can be faster. This method is very good. Why didn't we think of it sooner? Daemubei's eyes lit up, and he instantly agreed with the idea. How could a carriage ride comfortably on a rabbit, not to mention its slow speed and bumpy bumps? And in just 10 days, they no longer wanted to ride on a carriage. But it was different for Xiao Wu's spiritual realm, not to mention the wide position. He still looked very domineering and fast. Oscar's idea has been unanimously approved by everyone. That is, Xiao Wu is a little wronged. This is her true spirit of martial arts, and she is usually a treasure, so how can she be willing to be a means of transportation? But in the end, at the begging of Zhu King and Ning Rangrong, they reluctantly agreed. After all, she herself didn't want to use the carriage any more. Half an hour later, everyone returned to the small mountain village again. The people in the village were frightened by the sudden appearance of the behemoth. In the end, Xiao Wu and Ning Rangrong came out and explained it. The people were undecided and allowed them to settle down temporarily. After all, Xiao Wu's spirit real body is really too big. Just looking at it, she is too frightened. Fortunately, Hu Jiu made the right decision and let the two little fairies, Xiao Wu and Ning Rangrong, deal with them. Seeing that Xiao Wu and Ning Rangrong were so cute, the people of Xiaoshan village finally let go of their guards and turned to them with enthusiasm. Knowing that they not only eliminated the wolf thieves, but also brought so many homeless women. They were treated like heroes. Naturally, those women were also properly arranged. Chapter 411 Vast Sea City. After dealing with the wolf thief, Hu Jiu and others rested for the night in the small mountain village. The next day it was just dawn, and a group of people sat on Xiao Wu's spirit avatar and set off to continue on the road. As for the original carriage, Ning Rangrong instructed the disciples of the 7 treasure glazed tile school to go back the same way. When they set off from Shandao City, Qin Mingsu contributed the carriage, while the groom was dispatched by Ning Fengzi in order to make the journey easier for them. But I didn't expect Xiao Wu to have such a cool means of transportation. This time, they were prepared for nothing. A few days later, Tang San took out the map and put it in front of everyone. We are about to arrive at Vast Sea City. This is the only port city on the western coast of the empire, with its back to the sea. If you want to reach Seagad Island, you must pass through Vast Sea City. We can rest here for a while and then go. Okay. After so many days of traveling, I can finally rest. I suggest that, after we arrive at Vast Sea City, we can play there for a few more days. Ning Rang Grang applauded. Yes, cities by the sea must be different from those on land. Anyway, we are not in a hurry, so let's play for a few more days. Xiao Wu echoed. Haha, it's wide and wide. I heard that there are particularly beautiful mermaids in the cities near the sea, but I don't know if it's true. We'll go look for it when the time comes. Said while saying, yo, boss day, please explain to us what a mermaid looks like. Mahanjan's eyes lit up, and he was instantly interested. Hehehe. Oscar with a lewd smile on his face, quietly approached the two of them. Bah, you big perverts are too hateful. Boss day, if you want to say that you should stay away, don't ruin my family's Xiao Jiu. Xiao Wu said dissatisfiedly, yes, every good thing a man does. Ning Rang Grang killed everyone with one shot. Hu Jiu was really hard to justify. After all, he and Emu Bay and the others weren't much better. They were both philanderers, but his taste was higher. Not a peerless beauty. Tang San. I'm the pure and clean Tang San Shao. Okay, why should I be counted? Sister Rang Grong, don't count the third brother. Look at how wronged he is. ZHU Zuking covered his mouth and chuckled. HMPH, he's a straight man of steel. What do we compare to him? Mahanjan glanced at Tang San with contempt, expressing his disdain for Tang San's refusal to join forces with them. Fatty, I think you're itchy. Don't spoil the only innocent boy in our team. Damu Bay slapped Mahanjan on the back of the head and laughed playfully. You all get the hell out of me. Tang San blushed and became angry. But in his heart, Hulina's figure flashed, and there was a trace of longing in his eyes when Hu Jiu saw this scene. A mysterious smile appeared on his face. Talking and laughing all the way. As evening approached, everyone came to Vast Sea City, the largest city on the western edge of the Heaven Dao Empire. This city was also the largest seaside and port city on the Douluo continent. The area is bigger than Xiandao City. At this time, Xiao Wu had turned her spirit avatar into a little rabbit, and the group walked to the city gate for a routine inspection. What kind of smell? Why is it so weird? ZHU Zuking wrinkled his nose, a little unaccustomed to the smell. The soldiers guarding the city gate heard ZHU Zuking's words, and when they saw that she was a beautiful woman, they immediately explained to her amiably, this is your first time to Hanhei City. This is the smell of the sea. It's normal that you can't smell it. It takes a while to get used to it. Tang San and the others suddenly realized that it was the first time they had come to the sea. They never knew there was a sea salty smell in the air here. Only Hu Jiu was able to stand still. After all, he had also played in the sea in his previous life. The routine inspection ended soon, because they didn't bring anything in the first place, and everything was hidden in their respective soul tools. How could these ordinary soldiers be able to check them out? Fortunately, there were no bloody incidents, because of the beauty of Xiao Wu, ZHU Zuking, Ning Rang Grang and others. A group of people successfully passed the inspection and entered Vast Sea City. However, with such a group of peerless beauties entering the city, it is sure to attract attention. No, as soon as they entered the city, they basically focused everyone's attention on themselves. The man didn't say anything. His eyes basically swirled around Xiao Wu, ZHU Zuking, and Ning Rang Grang. And the woman went to set her eyes on Hu Jiu, Tang San, Damu Bay and Oscar. The only one that no one paid attention to was probably Mahanjan. This made him very aggrieved. It can't go on like this. If it goes on like this, we will get into trouble sooner or later. Tang San said with a wry smile. This is not Heaven Dao City, and it doesn't matter how they waver. When they first came to Vast Sea City, they were unfamiliar, and he didn't want to cause any trouble. Why not let them see if they want to? Anyway, there won't be a piece of meat missing. Ning Rang Grang said with a grin. You girl, you know how to cause trouble. Hu Jiu rubbed Ning Rang Grang's head and said domineeringly, my woman, only I can see it, not others. With that said, Hu Jiu took out some transformed ginseng and handed it to Ning Rang Grang and the others. Brother Ninth is so domineering. I like it so much. Ning Rang Grang stuck out his tongue mischievously, looked at Xiao Wu together, and both showed funny smiles. They didn't expect Hu Jiu to have such an interesting side. Haha, but we can't just change our appearance. You all have to be, especially you, Xiao Jiu. I don't want these bad women to stare at you smugly. Xiao Wu hugged Hu Jiu. His arm coquettishly said, "Okay, then let's all change our looks, be fair and just." After speaking, Hu Jiu took out a few more transformed ginseng and handed it to Tang San and the others. Tang San and the others were speechless about this. Hu Jiu was too fond of Xiao Wu, but they were also helpless. Who made Hu Jiu their boss? The boss has spoken, and of course the younger brother has to listen. After eating the transformed ginseng, the appearance of a group of people became ordinary, and after mixing into the crowd, it was no longer noticeable. After rushing the road for a day, everyone was tired, so they found a hotel in the city, opened a room, checked in, and rested individually. It is worth mentioning that when opening the room, Hu Jiu quietly asked for the room with the largest bed in the hotel, and with the howls of Tang San and the others, he brought 3 beauties into the room. Although the 3 of Xiao blushed, they didn't object. They just followed into the room shyly, very well behaved. This night, Hu Jiu could be said to have enjoyed the blessings of the people of Qi, and he almost couldn't get out of bed the next day. It just so happened that today's day was a bit special, so he simply stayed in bed and didn't go out. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 412, 100,000 Years Soulbone. Hu Jiu held Xiao Wu in her arms, but her eyes look towards the void. An azure blue panel emerges in front of you. Pink spiritual skull. In 61,105, it increases the spiritual power with the spiritual shocking soul skill. Illusory space left arm bone. 100,000 years. Ability 1. Illusory world. Being pulled into the illusory world. Titled Douluo is unbreakable. Even titled Douluo will take a lot of effort. Ability 2 can increase the mental strength of friendly troops by 100%, and at the same time, establish a net of voids. No matter how far away, they can establish connections and communicate with each other. Petrified mammoth right arm bone. In 90,000. Petrified mammoth. Increased strength with petrified ray soul skill. Fast forward left leg bone. 48,000 years. Greatly increase the speed, and at the same time, condense the soul power of the left leg into a sharp blade, while moving at a high speed to approach the opponent. Use the left leg to perform multiple chain slashes on multiple enemies. Feng Mo right leg bone. 34,000 years old. With the power to control the wind, it can control the power of the wind. Golem's torso bone. 33,000 years. Reduce attack damage by 33%. 100,000 year soul bones. Finally become Hu Jiu's eyes were bright and happy like a child. After such a long hang up, the left arm bone in illusory space was finally upgraded to 100,000 years old, and it was also his first 100,000 year old spirit bone. With this soul bone, even if he encounters a titled Douluo, he still has the power to fight. This is a huge improvement. You must know that 100,000 year spirit bones are not so easy to obtain. Except for those families with a profound heritage of 10,000 years, the rest of them can't even see a shadow. If the news of his 100,000 year spirit bone is known to others, I'm afraid everyone will be moved. Especially those titled Douluos. They will never be afraid of what kind of genius Hu Jiu is. Even if he is a genius, he will kill him without error. The spirit bones of 100,000 year spirit beasts are very different from other grades of spirit bones. The only thing that can be compared with them is the spirit bone attached to the outside, and it has to be the spirit bone attached to the titled Douluo body. Take the left arm bone of the illusory space in his hand as an example. It has only 2 functions, and each ability can be called a god level ability. The first ability is a net of voids, which can select a target and leave mark on the target. After the mark is planted, those who hold the mark can communicate with each other, no matter how far away they are. In addition, those with the imprint can permanently increase their mental power by 100%, unless they are actively cancelled. Not to mention the other. The first ability alone is worthy of being 100,000 year spirit bone. Permanently doubling the spiritual power. No matter how far away they are, they can establish a connection. With this ability, they can greatly increase the strength of Hu Jiu and others, especially Hu Jiu. Originally, his trump card was a powerful spiritual power, but now it has doubled. With spiritual power alone, he has the courage to compete with title Douluo point. Of course, if Tang San's mental power was also doubled, the benefits would be no less than Hu Jiu's. You must know that Tang San's purple demon eye mainly cultivates spiritual power. With his realm, the spiritual power is doubled, and the realm of Ziji demon eye can definitely be improved by a level point. The purple demon eye is divided into 4 levels in total, namely, the overall view, the subtle, the mustard, and the vast. The ascension of each stage is very difficult, but its effect is very powerful. Currently, Tang San's purple demon eye is in the 3rd realm, mustard seeds. In this realm, he could observe very subtle things, and he could destroy all illusions. It could be said that, unless his mental power was 3 times that of Tang San, any illusions would be rubbish in front of him, shattering at a glance. But the mustard seed realm is only the 3rd realm of the purple demon eye point. If he got the bonus of Hu Jiu's imprint, Tang San's purple demon eyes could instantly become great, reaching a vast realm. The vast realm can make him extremely powerful, even if the title Douluo is shot by Tang San's purple demon pupil. He would not dare to say that he can retreat. This is just an incidental ability. This ability is called Void Net, but its main function is to connect. No matter how far apart, can connect with each other. This is its main function. In other words, as long as they are in Douluo continent, as long as they have Hu Jiu's imprint, they can contact them at any time in the future, which is equivalent to a permanent mobile phone. This is one of the abilities of the phantom space. The second ability is even more powerful, called illusory world. This ability allows Hu Jiu to create an illusory world through his own will. In this world, everything is real. As long as his spiritual power is not as strong as his, he can only sink into the illusory world and become an illusory world nutrient. And even if the mental power is stronger than him, it takes a lot of effort to break through the illusory world. Master tricks, often in an instant. With the illusory world, Hu Jiu can be invincible. Ha 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 ha. Feeling the power of these 2 abilities, Hu Jiu suddenly laughed. This is timely rain. Originally, he was quite afraid of Bosexi on Sigurd Island, but now he has a 100,000 year spirit bone, plus Xiao Wu's spirit avatar equivalent to a title Douluo. Hu Jiu's response to this trip, greater grasp. What's more, apart from him and Xiao Wu, Tang San and the others weren't weak either. Together, they wouldn't have any problem even turning Sigurd Island upside down. However, Poseidon Island has the rules of Poseidon Island, and even Bosexi has to act according to the rules. This is the confidence for Hu Jiu to go to Poseidon Island. Xiao Jiu, what are you laughing at? Such an exaggeration. Xiao Wu looked at Hu Jiu suspiciously, wondering if he was insane to laugh so exaggeratedly. Ha ha ha, baby, it's a good thing, a good thing. I'll show you a big baby. Hu Jiu hugged Xiao Wu and kissed her fiercely on the small mouth. Then, with a thought, he placed the imprint of the void net on Xiao Wu. In an instant, Xiao Wu only felt a shock in her heart. The mental power in her head skyrocketed instantly, and the powerful aura even shook the surrounding air afterwards. She even felt a spiritual sense that could be contacted at any time, as if she could connect with this spirit, as long as her mind moved. What? This ability is not bad. Before Xiao Wu could act, the spiritual connection she sensed had already broken through her spiritual space, and Hu Jiu's figure appeared in her sea of consciousness. You, how did you enter my sea of consciousness? Xiao Wu asked in shock. You must know that the sea of spiritual consciousness is the core of everyone. If someone can enter her sea of spiritual consciousness at will, it means that she is completely undefended. Haha, that's because you didn't have any defenses against me. Hu Jiu's mental body smiled and looked at Xiao Wu. To be honest, it was something he didn't expect to be able to enter into Xiao Wu's spiritual consciousness. Unexpectedly, Xiao Wu actually trusted him so much and didn't take any precautions against him. I'm guarding against what you are doing, and you won't hurt me. At this time, Xiao Wu also reacted, but even if she knew the reason, she didn't do anything. Instead, she looked like a matter of course. Chapter 413, The Void Net. My mental power has become much stronger. Opening her eyes, Xiao Wu looked at Hu Jiu excitedly without blinking, for fear that all this was fake. Well, this is one of the abilities of the 100,000 year spirit bone. In the future, as long as I don't take the initiative to cancel it, your spiritual power can be doubled forever. Hu Jiu nodded Xiao Wu's nose and said indulgently, and no matter if you go to the ends of the earth in the future, you won't be able to pick out the palm of my hand. I won't run. Wherever you go in the future, I will be there. Xiao Wu watched her head and said with a smile, okay, it's time for us to get up and tell Zuking and Rang the news by the way. Okay, when the two got up, they found that Zhu Zuking and Ning Rang were having breakfast next to Tang San, Damu Bei and others. Yo, brother Ninth is here. I thought you won't wake up until noon. Mahanjan raised his brows and said lustfully, HMPH, I'm very talented, and I can get up, no matter how tired I am. Hu Jiu said proudly. Xiao Jiu, why do you feel like you're stronger again? Tang San looked at Hu Jiu suspiciously. In his perception, Hu Jiu was like a violent sea. Just looking at it, he felt a sting in his eyes. When Tang San said this, others immediately discovered the problem. If Hu Jiu was an unsheathed sword in the past, now his sword ki is soaring into the sky, and it has the potential to swallow mountains and rivers. Haha, I found it. Wait a minute, I'll show you something good after dinner. Hu Jiu and Xiao Wu looked at each other with smiles on their faces this time. I'm afraid they will be really surprised point for a long time. Although Hu Jiu didn't tell them personally that he could increase the age of his spirit bones, he didn't hide it much. After all, the abilities of some spirit bones have been strengthened with the increase of age. In front of these friends, who get along day and night can't hide it at all. Tang San and the others were more or less guessing, but this was Hu Jiu's secret, and they had always avoided this question so as not to affect everyone's feelings. After listening to Hu Jiu's words, everyone's breakfast speed was obviously much faster. It didn't take long before everyone came to Hu Jiu's room and looked forward to him one by one. Haha, look good. Hu Jiu's mind moved, and he instantly imposed the illusory trap on everyone. Boom. In an instant, Tang San's eyes flashed a hint of purple, and the whole person seemed to enter a mysterious realm. His eyes opened and closed, as if carrying a world. Others are also mentally soaring, as if their strength has been strengthened differently. In fact, the same is true. You must know that this is a doubled mental power, and it is still completely controlled by oneself. Just like Zhu Zuking's netherworld soul suppressing bell, Ning Rang's distraction control, Damu Bei's Beihuai kill raw. Under the stimulation of spiritual power, breakthroughs have been made one after another, and one by one, the strength has improved greatly. After a long time, Damu Bei and the others finally woke up, and looked at Hu Jiu with shocked expressions. Stop arguing with mistress, let's go out and talk about something. Seeing that Tang San hadn't woken up yet, compared to the moment when he was in a state of epiphany, Hu Jiu hurriedly interrupted everyone's words one by one. They walked out of the room lightly. Damu Bei was the first to ask, Ninth brother, what's going on? Why do I feel that my spiritual power has permanently increased? Well, unless I take the initiative to withdraw, your spiritual power will always be blessed in the future. Hu Jiu nodded calmly. Permanent blessing. Oscar looked at Hu Jiu absently. Isn't this ability similar to immortal grass? Okay, don't be surprised, and don't ask why. You only know that I have this ability. Hu Jiu didn't bother to explain to them why the soul bone increased the age, so he simply didn't explain it. Hearing this, one by one, their expressions condensed, and they kept silent, as if it was not them who were excited just now. When we arrive at Vast Sea City, we need to take a boat next. Anyway, it's still early. Fatty and I will go out and find a way. If you are interested, you can stroll around the city. There are a lot of interesting things here. Damu Bei said with a smile. Yes, brother Ninth, go and accompany sister Xiao Wu, Rang, and Zhu King, as long as the third brother has me here. Oscar said with a grin. Go shopping. Okay, then let's go. When they heard that they were going to go shopping, the eyes of several girls lit up. Hu Jiu stared at Damube and Oscar in astonishment. These two dog things actually teamed up to design him to accompany a few women to go shopping. Wouldn't this kill him? Wait for me. Hu Jiu gave them a look and let them experience it for themselves at this moment. He even strangled their hearts. Shopping is not scary. What is scary is going shopping with a woman. After walking with Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, and Ning Rangrong, a few energetic girls, they almost let Hu Jiu collapse, and when it got dark, they finally let Hu Jiu go. In the evening, when everyone returned to the hotel, Tang San had already woken up and was chatting with Damube and the others. 9th. Brother, you came back just in time. We are discussing how to go to Sea God Island. Seeing Hu Jiu, Oscar hurriedly ran in front of him like a dogleg, asking for warmth, for fear of being cleaned up by Hu Jiu. What? To discuss? Hu Jiu asked. Didn't Boss Day go looking for a boat today? Tang San shook his head. Ordinary boats won't work. We don't know what's going on in the sea, but what is certain is that there are definitely many dangers, especially spirit beasts. The sea is no better than land, although we are not afraid. But if the boat is caught, what to do if it breaks? This is not difficult to solve. Let's go to the Big Dao Soul Arena tomorrow. The Big Dao Soul Field and the big auction house are one. I promised. There will be an auction tomorrow. If we can do it at the auction, just buy a soul tool ship. It's near the sea, so there must be something we need. Hu Jiu did not doubt the power of the big auction house at all. As long as there is demand, they will definitely have what they need. Okay, then let's go shopping at the auction house tomorrow. Tang San also nodded, thinking that this method is not bad. However, he looked at Hu Jiu, hesitant to say anything, and finally seemed to think of something, so he gave up asking. With his intelligence, how could he not see that Hu Jiu hid some secrets from them? Moreover, he also had certain guesses about the ability of the void snare. After all, Hu Jiu only used spiritual connection not long ago. Isn't this void net an upgraded version of spiritual connection? But this is Hu Jiu's secret. Since Hu Jiu didn't take the initiative to tell them, there must be his reasons, and he won't ask too much. Chapter 414, Hanhei City Auction. Don't do it tomorrow, just go tonight, and I'll be able to see the unique Sea Soul Master here later. Hu Jiu smiled. Okay, it is said that the fighting methods of Sea Spirit Masters are not the same as ours. If we can get familiar with the battle of Sea Soul Masters in advance, it will be of great benefit for us to land on Sea God Island. Tang San nodded, looking at Damube, and the others asked for their opinions. Haha, of course we went together. It just so happened that I'm also very interested in the Sea Spirit Master you mentioned. Damube laughed. As soon as they said they would leave, the crowd, under the leadership of Hu Jiu, went straight to the Great Soul Battlefield in Hanhei City. After strolling the streets for a day, if nothing else, he almost understood the information of the city. With his perception ability, it is easy to collect a little information. The scale of the big battlefield in Hanhei City is not large, let alone compared with Xiandao City. Not even Soto City. However, although the scale is not large, it is very lively. When Hu Jiu and others came to the battlefield, the place was already crowded with people. That is to say, everyone was powerful, so they squeezed in and found a good position. After they came to the private room and sat down, they were immediately attracted by the scene in the Great Soul Arena. The Daohunte here is not like what they have seen before. Just find a place and build a platform. The platform here is a huge pool. The diameter of the pool is more than 100 meters, and it is filled with seawater from the window in the box. You can smell the smell of seawater. Their box belonged to the VIP room, and there was a huge audience outside the battle arena. Even in the box, one could hear the lively voices from outside. With sharp eyes, Zhu Zuking saw the warning sign in the VIP room, and said, this pool is called Daohunte, with a diameter of 108 meters. If it is outside the vertical range of the Daohun Pond, it is regarded as admitting defeat. It's almost just one is a soul fighting platform and the other is a soul fighting pool. It sounds like it's very interesting, or I'll go play later. Xiao Wu said thoughtfully. Forget I'm afraid that you will scare people. They are all soul saints. I'm afraid you can't find a match. Hu Jiu rubbed Xiao Wu's head and said amusingly, point generally speaking, a person who has reached the soul saint realm must be at least 50 years old, which is considered a talent for cultivation, just like Xiao Wao, and the strength has reached their level, and they have rarely participated in the battle of the soul. After all, in Douluo continent, the strength of Soul Saint is already considered a high-end power who is free to participate in the soul fighting competition. Xiao Wu also knew the truth, so she was just joking. Otherwise, Fatty will give it a try. Among us, you are the only Soul King, and fighting with your opponent is not considered breaking the rules. Damu Bei suggested. Fuck, who said that I'm the only Soul King? Isn't that Xiao Wao still there? He is also the Soul King. Also, don't think that you are high in level, and I'm afraid of you. Be careful, I beg you for mercy. Mahanjan jumped up from his seat in anger and said the most cowardly words in the harshest tone. Haha, forget it. Letting Fatty go is also bullying. He's already level 60. Although he hasn't obtained a spirit ring, he can be called a spirit emperor without a spirit ring. Letting him go is a bit of a breach of the rules. Let's see. That's it. With their strength, terrain, etc., the restrictions on them are not too big. At most, they are just a little troublesome. The main purpose of today is to participate in the auction of the waiting meeting, and by the way, see the fighting style of Sea Soul Masters next. They finally saw the fighting style of the Sea Spirit Masters. Because this place is close to the sea, the spirit rings of the spirit masters tend to be water attribute spirit abilities after all. The resources in the sea are more abundant than on land, and there are more soul beasts in the sea than on land, which is why this phenomenon is caused. After watching some battles, they also saw some strange spirit abilities, each with its own characteristics. If they didn't understand them, they might have suffered a little loss when they first encountered them. Not long after, outside the box, a receptionist from Soul Arena came to inform them that the auction was about to start and asked them if they wanted to participate. This is also a benefit of the Great Soul Arena. Those who have money to enter the VIP room are generally not short of money, so it is a special reminder for them. Go. Of course we are going. This soul battle is not interesting, and we can't play in person. Let's go to the auction. Damu Bei clapped his hands, stood up and said, haha, then let's go too. Hu Jiu held Xiao Wu's hand and held Zhu Zuking's fiery body in her arms, looking like a prodigal young master. When they came to the auction, they naturally asked for a VIP area, and it didn't take long for the auction to begin. The things that were auctioned at the beginning were not very good. They were all antiques and the like. These things, whether it was Hu Jiu or Tang San, would not dare to be interested. Of course. There are also some interesting accessories, especially Xiao Wu and the others, who are very interested in these shiny gadgets. As a rich man, Hu Jiu certainly wouldn't be stingy. With a wave of his hand, he bought it. As a result, the auction was only halfway through, and Hu Jiu had already spent tens of thousands of gold soul coins at this moment on the auction stage. The next auction item aroused everyone's interest. I just heard the introduction from the host on the auction platform. Next, the auction is a soul tool, which is very suitable for use in the offshore area. It is the Dragon Abyss boat, known as the Conqueror of the Sea. As soon as the host finished speaking, there was a hostess in the background holding a brocade covered with red cloth. The items on the brocade looked a bit strange. This item is not big, it is only about a foot long from the beginning to the end. The front end is in the shape of a dragon's head, and the tail is like an upright fishtail. Its wings are milky white, like carved from jade. The host introduced loudly, this is the Soul Guide Langyuan boat. There is only one piece of it. It is said to be a treasure handed down from ancient times. About 12 meters long and 2 meters in diameter, it can accommodate 12 to 15 passengers at the same time. This Langyuan boat can sail on the sea and dive into the sea, so it is very suitable for friends from the mainland. In addition, it can withstand the attacks of soul beasts at the level of a 100-year-old soul beast, and its defensive strength is also very good. But I still recommend everyone. There is a big terror in the deep sea. If you take this item, please don't enter the deep sea area to avoid any accident. It's him. Hu Jiu slapped his hand and instantly decided to take a picture of Long Yuanding. Chapter 415. The base price of this Long Yuan boat is 10,000 gold soul coins, and the starting price must not be less than 1,000. The auction is officially started. The host knocked on the auction hammer in his hand and said with a serious look, 10,000 gold soul coins. Not too much, not too much. Anyone who can come to participate in the auction will have some money. It just depends on whether it is suitable or not. When the host's voice just fell. After waiting for a long time, there was a rare cold scene. No one bid. It's not that they can't afford it, but it's not very useful. It's not that the Long Yuan boat is bad, but it's not very useful. Because the Long Yuan boat is only 10 meters long, it is destined to not be able to ride many people, and its ability is not strong. Although it can dive, it can only dive for 300 m. The effect is not very big, and the defense is not good. It can only resist the attack of the 100-year-old soul beast, which is not safe. You must know that even in the shallow seas, there are occasional 1,000-year-old soul beasts, and it is simply delusional to rely on the protection of Long Yuan boat. Of course. The most important point is that for those of them who live in vast sea city, as long as they are soul masters, which one does not have the ability to ride the waves and turn the sea, making waves and swimming freely are just the basic abilities of a sea soul master. Therefore, the Dragon Abyss boat is very tasteless to them and has no auction value at all. Is there any VIP bid? The host asked habitually. This is not the first time I have encountered such a situation. After all, Long Yuanding has been filmed in his hands many times, and he is used to no one wants it. 10,000 gold soul coins. Hu Jiu's indifferent voice sounded in the auction hall. The host who presided over the auction lit up, locked Hu Jiu's position with a very professional gaze, and said impatiently, "Okay, this gentleman bid 10,000 gold soul coins. Is there any price increase? Okay, 10,000 gold soul coins once. 10,000 gold soul coins twice, and 10,000 gold soul coins 3 times. Congratulations to this VIP, you took down this Long Yuan boat soul tool." The host's voice was like a machine gun. Before everyone could react, the auction of this auction item had already ended, as if he was afraid that Hu Jiu would regret it. Haha. Fanefo felt everyone's expression like a fool. Hu Jiu smiled lightly, with a look of disdain on his face. Others think it's tasteless, but he doesn't think that, because he has money, even if it's useless, he's happy to buy it, and play. Second, of course, its value. To others, the value of the Long Yuan boat is not great, but to Hu Jiu and the others, it is a very good item. The depth of diving is not a problem, as long as you can sail. It is not a problem if the defense is not strong, and he does not despise this defense. What really made him valued was that this Dragon Abyss boat was easy to carry. It was the size of 2 palms in his hand, and it could be deployed by inputting spirit power, which was very convenient. In the sea, any accident can happen. He is fine by himself. When he encounters danger, if one teleport is not enough, then he uses 2. With teleport, the sea is no different to him than the mainland. But others can't. With such a large group of people, their safety has to be considered. Next, the auction continued, with one peculiar item after another appearing and being looted. After taking pictures of Long Yuanding, Hu Jiu and his party achieved their goal tonight. Before the auction was over, he settled the auctioned items in advance, and after the settlement, took Tang San and the others out of the auction point. After leaving the auction, the group of 8 visited the night view of Hanhei City. After they were satisfied, they returned to the hotel. The next morning, everyone got up early and prepared to leave for Sea God Island. He had rested for 2 days in Hanhei City, and it was time to get back to work. This time on my way to Sea God Island, if I encounter a battle on the way, unless it is necessary, I won't take action. Hu Jiu's eyes swept over everyone, and finally turned to Tang San. Tang San nodded understandingly. This was what he had discussed with Hu Jiu yesterday. After all, the sea is not a field they are familiar with, and even Hu Jiu does not dare to be careless. So on the way, Hu Jiu needs to make all his effort to make teleportation ginseng, and only in this way can he take everyone away when they are in danger. Don't worry, let me arrange the battle. As a control system soul master, he is the best at team battles. Xiao Jiu, I will protect you. Xiao Wu laughed while hugging Hu Jiu's arm. Okay, let's go. Hu Jiu took the lead and walked towards the pier of Hanhei City Point. The pier of Vast Sea City is a little far away, and they almost have to pass through the entire Vast Sea City Point, speeding all the way. After passing through the west gate of Hanhei City, we headed straight for the pier. The wharf in Hanhei City is very large, with at least hundreds of ships passing by every day. This is the starting point and focus of maritime trade. Every day, it can bring huge benefits to Hanhei City Point, relying on the mountains to eat the mountains, the sea to eat the sea, and close to the sea. The land here is not suitable for planting, but in exchange for all kinds of rich resources in the sea, according to legend, there are endless wealth in the sea, even if there are a large number of adventurers every year. Lost in the sea, still cannot make the warriors' retreat point. As soon as they arrived at the dock, a middle-aged man in his 50s greeted them like they were, "Welcome, my good friends. Are you planning to find a ship to go to sea? I'm the captain of the Sea Devil. How can I help you?" "Yo, captain of the Sea Devil, may I go to Seagad Island?" Damubei's mouth twitched, his eyes full of provocation. Damubei had already inquired about Seagad Island in advance. The route to Seagad Island was extremely dangerous, and no ships dared to go there. Moreover, this person was not a good person at first glance, so Damubei directly posed a problem to him. "Haha, I'm the captain of the Sea Devil. As long as it is in the sea, there is no place I dare not go. Of course, the premise is that you can afford the price." Captain Haderpy looked at him with a smile. They, a little excited for a moment. "We are poor and only have money left. Where is your sea demon? If you leave the ship today, no matter how much it costs, we will order it." Hu Jiu's eyes lit up, and he said very aggressively, in his perception, "This person is full of evil thoughts. At first glance, he is not a good person, but if he hits them with his mind, this person is kicked into an iron plate. He wants to see what this Sea Devil wants to do." "Okay, no problem. Please come with me. My Sea Devil is right in front. I'll prepare it later, and I can set off in the afternoon." A greedy light flashed in Hader's eyes, and he didn't even ask the price. Directly reaching out to them, and making a gesture of please. To be honest, Hader's boat is still pretty good. The hull is more than 50 meters long and the width is more than 20 meters. Although it is not too big, it is not too small. At least it is more than enough to travel in the deep sea. Chapter 416 Sea Voyage. Welcome to all the beautiful ladies and handsome gentlemen. This is my Sea Devil. Everyone, please come with me. Hader made a gesture of invitation to them very gracefully. Hu Jiu and the others looked at each other and followed Hader to visit his Sea Devil calmly. The Sea Devil has 3 floors. The bottom floor is where the crew members live. As guests, their accommodation is of course arranged on the top floor. Under the introduction of Hader, they also gained some understanding of the Sea Devil. In addition to Captain Hader, there was a first mate and 6 crew members, adding up to a total of 8 people. But Hu Jiu discovered that they were not ordinary people. Captain Hader's strength is the strongest, a 58th level Soul King, while his first mate is a Soul Sect, and the remaining 6 Soul Masters have 2 third rings and 4 2 rings. I just don't know what means they used. From the outside, they didn't have any soul power fluctuations, as if they were just ordinary people. But this little trick can hide it from others, but it can't hide it from Hu Jiu. Of course, it doesn't matter, even if you hide from Hu Jiu. In the face of absolute strength, all conspiracy rules can only be crushed. What's more, with Hader's method, not to mention Hu Jiu, even Tang San and the others found something wrong, but they all thought it was very funny. They didn't expose it. Time passed slowly, and after half a day's arrangement, Hader was also ready to travel. Pull the anchor and set sail. After lunch, at Hader's order, the Sea Devil set sail immediately. At the beginning, Hader and his party seemed to be a group of honest crew members. They didn't play any tricks at all, and the sailing direction was actually the same as Seagad Island. In this way, to save them a lot of effort. Sailing in the sea naturally has a unique flavor. The rich taste of the sea invades their senses all the time. The sea breeze blows and takes away the chills. The boundless sea is majestic, and in the sea, Hu Jiu and others only feel open-minded, and the whole person is immersed in the great nature. Tang San and the others had never seen such a scene before, lying on the railings one by one, so excited that they almost forgot their business. The excitement continued into the evening. At this time, the sequel came. For a landlubber like Tang San and the others, seasickness was an extremely uncomfortable thing. As the wind and waves fluctuated, Xiao Wu, Zhu Ziuking, and Ning Rong first had adverse reactions. Then came Oscar, whose physique was similar to that of a girl. In the end, even Ma Hongjin and Amubei couldn't take it anymore. One by one began to vomit, and the whole person began to collapse. This scene, seen by the crew, was met with ridicule. Haha, don't worry, it's your first time on a boat. This is a normal reaction. You'll get used to it when you vomit. It's not a big deal. Haida kindly said to them. It's okay, they can persevere. Hu Jiu smiled and gave Xiao Wu and the others some holy light ginseng. As ginseng not only has the effect of treating injuries, but also has a good effect on expelling negative states. However, this is only a way to treat the symptoms, but not the root cause, and ultimately they have to adapt themselves. Hey, Xiao Jiu, why don't you get seasick? It's too unfair. Xiao Wu pouted and asked dissatisfied. Haha, that's how stupid you guys are. Why did you forget the soul power control you learned as a child so quickly? Hu Jiu joked. Soul power control is a very useful soul skill, especially when used in life. After all, seasickness is nothing more than a lack of control over the balance of the body. When using soul power control, pay attention to letting them control their bodies, so it can still be like this. Why didn't you say it earlier? It made me so miserable. Xiao Wu beat Hu Jiu twice in dissatisfaction. Tang San on the side also reacted. The spirit power controlling this spirit ability was originally created by him and Hu Jiu, but as the strength became stronger, it was rarely used. Thinking of this, Tang San's mind changed. Spirit power spread under his feet, like adding a footpad. His body no longer swayed with the waves. It's really useful. I feel much more relaxed. Xiao Wu's happy voice came over. Ninth. Brother, what should we do? We haven't learned your soul power control. Ning Rong said with a bitter face, and even Zhu Ziuking, who had been silent, looked over. It's very simple. I can help you. Hu Jiu waved his hand, and a stream of light appeared at the feet of Ning Rong and Zhu Ziuking. With his help, the two no longer had to worry about seasickness. But don't think that I have been helping you all the time. Let you relax first. The problem of seasickness has to be adapted by yourself. Anyway, it is not a big problem. Just stay on the boat for a few more days. After all, maybe you have to fight on the ship. That's a problem that needs to be solved. Seeing Oscar's mouth that was about to open, Hu Jiu hurriedly interrupted, and even if he helped his own woman, as for the others, it would be a good thing to let them suffer a little. The day passed quickly, and it was their first night at sea. There was nothing special that night. Haida was still his captain. Honestly, it seems that he should think that it was not long before he went to sea, and he wanted to drive the boat farther. Days and nights passed, and Amubei and the others gradually got used to it, but their expressions were not very good. After all, they are all very powerful soul masters, and it is not a big problem to adapt to the turbulence of the sea. At noon the next day, Haida respectfully came to Hu Jiu and said to him, "Dear guest, according to the current speed, we have about 8 days to arrive at Sea God Island, but we will go further. Is the gathering place of the soul beasts, and at that time, I'm afraid that you will need the help of the soul masters all along." Hu Jiu and the others have not concealed their identity as soul masters, and how could they be ordinary people who dared to go to Sea God Island? Tang San looked at Haida noncommittally. If it wasn't for us, how would you deal with such a thing? Haida smiled slightly. Generally speaking, spirit beasts rarely attack ships, and even if there are spirit beasts with violent personalities, their strength is not very strong, and my Sea Devil is not defenseless at all. As long as we don't taking the initiative to provoke powerful soul beasts is generally not a problem, and the reason why I tell the guests is because I'm afraid that you will not know the rules and anger those soul beasts. Okay. No problem, we are not the troublemakers, the captain can rest assured. Hu Jiu smiled. Chapter 417, My World. Haha, don't worry, my sea devil is smeared with medicines to drive away soul beasts. These medicines will emit a smell that other soul beasts hate. As long as you smell this smell, even if there are soul beasts near the boat, they will also leave naturally. And on my ship, there is no need to worry about safety, Hader said confidently. It turns out that Mr. Hader has this kind of ability. If so, then I can rest assured. Hu Jiu smiled and patted Hader's shoulder and said, don't worry, when we arrive at Sea God Island, the golden soul coins you are indispensable. Thank you, noble sir. Hader's eyes lit up, and then he bowed his head respectfully to thank him, for fear that the greed in his eyes would be discovered by Hu Jiu. Haha, it's easy to talk about, Hu Jiu said with a smile. It happened that the scenery at sea was boring to watch too much, and Hu Jiu was also happy to talk to him. The time at sea passed quickly, as if in a blink of an eye. Another day had passed. After dinner, Hu Jiu lay on the bed and used the void snares to pull Tang San and the other's mental power into the illusory world he created. Wow. Wow, what is this place? Not good. We are on the way. The world changed in the blink of an eye. Mahanjan instantly became vigilant. Flames rose from his body, and the phoenix spirit was instantly possessed. Is this an illusory world? It's the same as the real thing. Xiao Wu ignored everyone's vigilant gaze, grabbed a handful of dirt on the ground with a smile, and put it in front of her nose to smell at. Seeing Xiao Wu's appearance, Tang San realized that this place seemed to be safe. Thinking of this, he turned his attention to Hu Jiu. With such a great ability, he is probably the only one who can bring them to this strange place without a sound. Welcome, everyone, to my world. Please have fun. Hu Jiu opened his hands, hugged the heaven and the earth, and looked flamboyant. Your world? Tang San thought thoughtfully. So, we can come to this place because you are playing a trick. This is another ability of mine, the illusory world. In this world, everything is false. Of course, it may also be true. It is true or false, as I wish. Hu Jiu waved his hand, and the scene in front of him instantly it became illusory, and then the picture was sideways, and the next moment, they had come to the sea, and it was still the bottom of the sea. When everyone is in the sea, but there is no problem of breathing difficulties. It seems that the sea water in front of them is fake. It's amazing. Brother Jiu, when did you have this kind of ability? Why don't I know? Ning Rangrang pouted in dissatisfaction. Obviously, Xiao Wu definitely knew about Hu Jiu's ability. That way, it's not fair. Okay, Sister Rangrang, you don't know him yet. He hides his skills. He hides a lot of things from me. Xiao Wu stood with Ning Rangrang in confusion with the enemy. Hu Jiu. It seems that he has also concealed a million points. Okay, I called you here for two purposes. One is about Hader. I estimate that he will start taking action tomorrow. Everyone should pay attention to me and be careful. Hu Jiu became serious. Haha, don't worry, brother Ninth. Just his tricks are useless in front of us. I want to see what tricks he has. Oscar's face showed an evil smile. Well, just pay attention to this point. Hu Jiu smiled. For Hader, in fact, he did not take it seriously. He could destroy it at will, and there was no possibility of turning over the waves. Let's talk about the second point. Speaking of this, Hu Jiu raised the corner of his mouth and showed a sinister smile to everyone. Ninth. Brother, if you have something to say, don't show that smile. You see, I'm getting goosebumps. After speaking, Ning Rangrang rubbed her pure white arm in a serious manner. Alas. Hu Jiu shook his head with a wry smile and explained, it's actually very simple. You have seen this place. What I want to say is that here, everything is illusory, just like a dream. The body is still resting. Also, with me, you can use your martial spirits and spirit skills normally. Do you understand what I say? Hearing Hu Jiu's words, Tang San's eyes lit up. In other words, we can train and fight arbitrarily here, and it won't have any effect on our body, right? Congratulations, you got it right. Hu Jiu snapped his fingers. As long as I think about it, even if I kill you here, when you wake up tomorrow morning, it will be like having a nightmare, but this dream is a bit real. That's it. It doesn't affect you in any way. Of course, what Hu Jiu didn't say is that as long as he wants to, this dream can also become reality. However, if he said that, he was afraid that Tang San and the others would be under psychological pressure. After all, even the best brothers don't want their lives to be in the hands of others at any time. Hahaha, fight as much as you like, you just want to do it. Damu Bei laughed wildly, a gleam of light flashed in his evil eyes, his eyes fixed on Tang San. The fighting intent in his eyes did not hide at all. He had always wanted to fight with Tang San to the fullest, but he just didn't have the chance. After all, they are brothers. No matter which one is hurt, it will affect the relationship. Boss Day, you are floating. You must know that Xiao-san is now a soul saint, and you don't have a 7th soul ring, so leave this battle to me. Xiao Wu also jumped to Tang in front of San. He raised his fist and said, why do you feel like I've become a soft persimmon? Tang San looked at Damu Bei and Xiao Wu depressedly. It's alright, don't worry about it here, you can fight how you want, just play slowly, I'll give Zhu King a private tutor. After saying these words, Hu Jiu waved his hand and disappeared in front of everyone with ZHU Zhu King in an unreal world. All senses are real, so, damn Tang San, give me death. Seeing Hu Jiu's expression before he left, Xiao Wu still didn't know what they were doing, staring at Tang San viciously on the spot. Moonlight Rabbit possessed, and now launched an attack. Tang San, what the hell am I doing? And even throw this pot at me. Fighting regardless of life and death is very enjoyable. This night, everyone killed them happily. All kinds of spirit abilities were used without any scruples, and they even used the idea that they would not dare to experiment at ordinary times. Even Oscar and Ning Rangrong, who had no fighting ability, joined the battle, testing how to make auxiliary spirit masters also have fighting ability. Especially Ning Rangrong, because of Hu Jiu's relationship, Xiang Helix Pill and Soul Power Control, he already knew the cultivation method. But he just didn't have the energy to cultivate. But now it's alright. In Hu Jiu's illusory world, he can experiment to his heart's content. Although he won't gain much in one night, it is certain that he will have the ability to fight in the long run. After all, everyone needs to rest, but in Hu Jiu's illusory world, he makes use of the rest time, which does not affect their usual practice at all. Chapter 418 Purple Pearl Pirates. Early the next morning, before the fog over the sea had cleared, the crew had already prepared breakfast, waiting for them to enjoy it. It is good to be backed by the sea, and even the breakfast is very rich, all seafood delicacies. Hu Jiu and the others looked at each other, then started to eat breakfast as usual, as if nothing had happened. After a few days, Tang San and the others were physically strong. They had already used the swaying boat, and they no longer felt seasick. Even with his appetite, Mahanjan jumped up after sweeping up the breakfast. Haha, I'm going to the deck for a breather. Who wants to go with me? Then I'll go with you. In the past few days, my body is almost rusted. Oscar rose and stood up. Then let's go together, just in time to enjoy the beauty of the sea. Tang San gave everyone a look, and then a group of people got out of the cabin and came to the plywood. At this time, Captain Hader was bringing his crew members to appear in front of them. Haha, distinguished guests, is the breakfast delicious today? Of course, the taste is quite good, especially the black caviar, which is delicious. Hearing this, Mahanjan gave a thumbs up on the spot. Hey, of course, this black caviar is a specialty here. If you sell it to the mainland, the price is higher than gold. In this life, if you can taste the taste of black caviar, you can make a lot of money. There was a proud expression on Hader's face, and there was no more estimation in his expression. He stared at Xiao Wu and the others with fiery eyes, as if he wanted to eat them all in one bite. What do you mean? Hey, why do you feel a little dizzy? But Mahanjan looked at Hader in surprise, as if frightened by his eyes, folded his arms, and took a few steps back involuntarily. Haha, what do you mean? Don't you need to say this? Let me fall. As soon as Hader said these words, Hu Jiu and others changed their faces instantly, as if they realized that their situation was not good. Haha, even if you are all soul masters, so what? You are just some young rich and noble children. Come here, go up and empty their soul tools for me. And these women, don't hurt me, it's a rarity. Following Haider's orders, the subordinates behind him acted one after another, especially the first officer, whose thief eyes moved back and forth on Hu Jiu, Tang San, Damu Bei and Oscar. Fuck, I can't take it anymore, let me die. Hu Jiu's face changed with the first officer's eyes, and he couldn't care about playing anymore. A petrified ray shot out of his hand, and he didn't even react. Has become a stone man point at the same time. Tang San and the others also acted, using their means one by one, without even opening their martial spirits. They each subdued their opponents. The strength of Haider and the others is not that strong. Apart from one Soul King and one Soul Sect, there are only 2 Soul Masters and 4 Great Soul Masters left. With such little strength, there is no chance of resistance. How is it possible? You guys, how can you be so strong? My cock crowing and 5 drums can clearly make you sleep for 3 days and 3 nights. Why are you all okay? Haider looked at Hu Jiu and the others in horror. Furious roared. Tang San glanced at Haider with pity and said, then let you understand, just your little tricks. I can see it at a glance. You can easily break it. If you want to poison us, just dream. As a member of the Tang sect, his use of poison was at the ancestral level, let alone a little bit of drug addiction. Even the poison that seals his throat with blood would have no effect in front of him. 9th. Brother, what should we do now? Do we have to deal with them all? Mahanjan made a ruthless expression and made a gesture of wiping his neck. No, my lord, we were wrong. Please forgive me this time. We won't dare again. Seeing Mahanjan's actions, Haider immediately burst into tears and pitifully begged for mercy. Yes, my lord, we are still useful. We will sail. Please spare us. Another clever crewman knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. Haha, I almost forgot. We won't be sailing yet. Hu Jiu groaned. While rubbing his chin. Tang San calmly looked at the crew on the ground, turned his head, and said to Hu Jiu, I've observed carefully these days. It takes 3 people to control this boat, and it's useless if there are too many. Only 3. That's easy. Hu Jiu smiled slightly and winked at Mahanjan. Seeing Hu Jiu's actions, Mahanjan rubbed his wrist and walked to Haider with a grim face, ready to clean him up first. Forgive me. Don't kill me. I'm a member of the Purple Pearl Pirates. If you kill me, you won't be able to escape. Seeing that Mahanjan was about to take him there first, Haider couldn't bear it any longer, and he put his old bottom on the line. Take it out, Purple Pearl Pirates. Talk about it carefully. Maybe I can spare your life. Hu Jiu's expression was flat, but he already had killing intent in his heart. Judging from Haider's behavior, these pirate groups should be killed by 1,000 swords. Although he is not a good person, if it is to eliminate harm for the people, he is still willing to go. I recruit all. Haider took a deep breath and answered honestly, our ship belongs to the Purple Pearl Pirates, and every crew member on board is a member of the Purple Pearl Pirates. Looking for some fat sheep to hunt at sea. Every time there is a harvest, they have to hand over most of the finances to the Purple Pearl Pirates. We can only drink soup, sir. We are also forced to be helpless. If we stop the Purple Pearl Pirates, they will kill us. Tell me about the size and strength of the Purple Pearl Pirates. Hu Jiu asked noncommittally. My lord, the Purple Pearl Pirates are entrenched on the Purple Pearl Island, not far from here, and can arrive in 2 days. Our Purple Pearl Group is the largest pirate organization of this generation in Hanhei City, with a total of 3,000 members, of which there are more than 200 Soul Masters. And it is also very beautiful, known as the Pearl of the Sea. Mentioning the captain, Haider's eyes burst into a frenzy. Yo, your head is a woman. Mahanjan asked with a smile. Why, you have a problem with women? Xiao Wu waved his fists, showing 2 small tiger teeth at the corners of his mouth, which made Mahanjan shudder fiercely. No, Miss Wu, you know me, I respect you the most. Mahanjan said flatteringly. More than 3,000 people, it's a bit difficult. Hu Jiu touched his chin with a thoughtful expression. Point. If there are only 1 or 200 people, they will kill them. If they kill them. Anyway, the people in the pirate group are not good people, but with more than 3,000 people, this is a bit impossible. Point. Thinking of this, Hu Jiu looked at Tang San, wanting to see if he had any ideas compared to Hu Jiu. Tang San was the real ruthless man, especially after passing through the capital of murder. He killed countless people. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 419 Deep Sea Demon Whale. Chatter. It's only more than 3,000 people. It's all a scourge to keep. Kill them all. Tang San's eyes showed a scarlet light. Murderous aura was revealed, and the killing god domain involuntarily released. Okay, listen to you. Hu Jiu looked at Tang San's killing god domain with interest, but was secretly surprised. Never expected Tang San to be really ruthless. You are all demons. Let me die. I won't betray the Purple Pearl Pirates. Feeling the terrifying murderous aura on Tang San's body, Hader screamed in horror. Compared to these pirates, Tang San and the others were more like demons. Then, go to hell. Tang San licked his lips. A faint blue light flashed on his right hand, and a blue-silver grass emerged from the deck, instantly entangling Hader as her strength gradually tightened. Hader's face turned purple. Point. In this scene, no one in Shrek was born, and their eyes were full of indifference. Point. The killers will always kill them. If Hader thought first, and wanted to kill them, and throw their corpses in the sea, how could Hu Jiu and others deal with them? The mistake was that Hader had found the wrong target. Point. As Hader gradually lost his breath, needles could be heard falling on the entire deck, and the rest of the crew shivered, fearing that they would become the next target. You guys can all sail, right? Having killed Hader, Tang San looked at the rest of the crew. Yes, my lord, I will sail. My lord, I will too. I will send you to Purple Pearl Island. Please don't kill me. My lord, I will too. My boating skills are the best. The remaining 6 crew members scrambled to answer. However, only 3 people are needed to sail the boat, and most of them are wasted food. Tang San pointedly said, PFFT. As soon as the voice fell, a clever crew member was quick-witted, grabbed a dagger on the ground, and stabbed the crew member closest to him. What? This time, the deadlock was broken in an instant, and the other crew members followed suit, and started attacking the crew members beside them. Point. In the blink of an eye, there were only 3 crew members left in front of them, and 2 of them were still injured. Okay, pack up and continue sailing. Hu Jiu waved his hand, thinking that the crew had already been sentenced to death. Little San, you learn things quickly. These 3 people are handed over to you, and let them teach you how to drive a boat, so that there will be no one to drive a boat in the future. Tang San nodded lightly. No problem. Although they have a small boat, if there is a big boat around, the small boat is useless, and can only be used as a life-saving measure. Point. And they don't know how to drive a big boat. Someone has to learn it. Point. Hu Jiu wanted to be lazy, so he was the only one on his own. Point. Next, the Sea Devil continued to sail, but the man who controlled the ship's sailing became a crew of 3. Point. With Tang San watching over them all the time, they didn't dare to play tricks. They could only follow the route honestly. Point. At the end of the day, Tang San also learned a lot of sailing skills, and occasionally even started to operate it himself, under his coercion. The 3 crew members did not dare to keep it, and could only honestly teach Tang San the technique of sailing. Point. The only downside of having less crew is that no one cooks, but that doesn't bother them either. There are many delicacies at sea, and you can catch some casually. Hu Jiu cooks it himself, and the taste is no worse than that of the pirate crew. Point. Night fell quickly. Hu Jiu and the others began to rest. Damu Bei and the others practiced their spirit skills in Hu Jiu's illusory world, while Tang San took the initiative to stay to monitor the crew and continue to learn about sailing. Point. A cool sea breeze came from outside the control room door. For some reason, Tang San suddenly felt cold all over based on his physical quality. It is reasonable to say that the cold and heat have long been immune, but the cold feeling from his body is so obvious. How powerful is Tang San's spiritual power, especially after Hu Jiu's blessing. His purple demon eye has reached a vast realm, and his spiritual power has more than doubled. Soon, he discovered the source of the cold. Nothing else. Officially his clear sky hammer. There was a flash of light in his left hand, and the clear sky hammer had appeared in his hand. At this moment, the killing god domain engraved on the clear sky hammer was exuding this cold light, and the chill made him shiver involuntarily. This is a danger warning. Tang San reacted instantly, turning to look at the 3 crew members, only to see the most ruthless crew member looking at him mockingly. Before he could react, Tang San instantly connected Hu Jiu through the net of the void, informing him of the danger at the moment. When Tang San warned, Hu Jiu instantly exited the illusory world, and his perception ability spread out. It's actually 100,000-year soul beast. No wonder. In just an instant, Hu Jiu understood the source of the danger. This 100,000-year-old soul beast should be a deep sea demon whale. Its body is like an island, and its body is at least 200 meters long. It has 2 huge eyes on its head, but only one is still lit. It is said that the other was just blinded by the sea god, because it was too powerful. At this time, the one-eyed was in the depths of the sea, looking in the direction of them. Hanhei. Body shield. At the moment of crisis, Hu Jiu shouted loudly, and a blue ray of light shot out between his eyebrows, instantly turning into a transparent triangular cover, covering the entire sea devil in at point within the shrouded range of the vast sea barrier. The sea demon seemed to have disappeared out of thin air, and no one could notice his location. In the depths of the sea, the deep sea demon whale blinked its huge eyeballs, as if she couldn't believe it. The body swayed, and the sea surged. In an instant, the entire sea boiled. Swing, as if a sailboat is about to be sailed. The next moment, hateful, Tang San glanced angrily at the 3 crew members. A stern look flashed in his eyes, and blue silver grass instantly emerged from the ground, binding them firmly. Then he stretched out his right hand, and the arm like blue silver grass turned into tentacles, distracting him and helping him control the boat. Fortunately, he still learned well, and he managed to stabilize the ship, after abolishing the power of 9 bulls and 2 tigers as the waves rolled. A low muffled roar sounded, and the island-like body of the deep sea demon whale emerged from the water, and the only remaining eye glowed with a sapphire-like light, as if observing the thing that disturbed its sleep just now was there. Where unfortunately, under Hu Jiu's best efforts, it found nothing. Boom. The deep sea demon whale shook its tail angrily, slapped it on the sea, and the water column soared into the sky, and the sea showed its terrifying prestige at this moment. The surfing waves swelled, and huge waves appeared. The sea demon, which had sailed a short distance just now, suffered a catastrophe. Even if Tang San tried his best to control it, the waves mercilessly drowned the ship. Fortunately, Hu Jiu's vast sea shield was still shrouded in the sea devil. After the waves, the ship was dangerously stable on the sea, and did not capsize. Chapter 420. Half an hour later, the sea demon finally left the domain of the deep sea demon whale, and Hu Jiu's soul power was exhausted. In other words, his spirit power was strong, not only using the vast sea barrier to cover the entire sea devil, but also insisting on it for so long. If it were Tang San, this time it would be really dangerous. The sea is no better than the land. If it is on land, you can still fight against a 100,000-year-old soul beast, but the sea is not good. The deep sea, the endless sea water, is the attack weapon of the deep sea devil whale. Even if Hu Jiu uses all means, plus Xiao Wu's spirit avatar, that is no weaker than a 100,000-year spirit beast, and Tang San and the others' fighting ability. All the combat power combined can't compare to the deep sea devil whale. Hu Jiu, Damu Bei and the others came to the cabin control room, just in time to see Tang San interrogating the 3 pirate crew members with a gloomy expression. GG. I'm very. Why didn't the deep sea demon whale kill you, you bastards? A crewman stopped covering it up, looking at Tang San with hatred. Why? Tang San asked calmly. Hey, why? Because my name is Little Hader. The old Hader you killed was my father. What else can you say? So, you are taking revenge? Damu stood in front of little Hader and punched him in the stomach, knocking him out. Hey, shouldn't I take revenge? You shouldn't have to kill my father. It's a pity that's such a good opportunity, since I didn't send you to hell. It's a pity. Little Hader with a miserable smile, he wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and gave up the idea of resistance. His strength is not strong. In front of Tang San and the others, there is no room for resistance. Little San, I'll leave it to you here. Don't make it too bloody. After all, we have to stay on the boat for a few days. Hu Jiu yawned and put his hands on Zhu King and Ning Rangrang's shoulders, and at the same time nodding to Tang San, he went back to the room with the three girls to rest. As a chicken thief, Hu Jiu had been living with Xiao Wu, Zhu King, and Ning Rangrang for a long time. For this reason, he specially chose a room with a big bed. Next, Tang San, Damu Bei, Mahanjan and Oscar were left in the control room. They were thrown into danger by a pirate crew member, and several of them were extremely angry. Next, an astonishing scream came from the control room, and even Hu Jiu, who was resting, heard it. The night passed, and when Hu Jiu woke up the next day, he found that the three pirates had disappeared. And the people who controlled the sailing of the Sea Devil became Tang San, Damu Bei, Mahanjan and Oscar. That's right, you learned to control the boat so quickly. I'll have to call you Captain Tang San in the future. Hu Jiu joked. I'm sorry, it's because I wasn't optimistic about those three crew members. Otherwise it wouldn't have cost you so much. Tang San blamed himself. Hey, what's the matter? With my ability, if I want to take you away, even the deep sea demon whale can't stop it. At most, it's just a loss of a boat. It's nothing. Hu Jiu waved his hand and didn't mean to blame at all. He didn't expect that. Even if he killed Hader, he would still be plotted. It's no wonder Tang San, and if you want to blame him, he should be blamed. He was someone who had read the original book, and he thought that, if he killed Hader, he would never meet him. This scene happened, but he didn't expect it to be calculated by his son. Okay, leave it to me. With the help of Boss Day, Fatty and Xiao, there is no problem with the boat. According to the expected route, it is estimated that we will be able to reach Purple Pearl Island tomorrow. When it comes to Purple Pearl Island, Tang San's eyes are full of murderous intent, and he has always taken an ever-tolerating attitude towards this group of pirates who do evil things. The next journey was peaceful all the way. Although Tang San was a bit unfamiliar with the control of the ship, his mental strength was strong, and he kept fine-tuning the sailing direction, and there was no problem. The next afternoon, everyone finally came to see an island. The island is so huge that it can accommodate at least tens of thousands of people. Is this the Purple Pearl Island? It looks very beautiful. Xiao Wu stood on tiptoe, put her right hand on her forehead, and looked at the island that appeared in her sight from a distance. Well, the island is a good island, but unfortunately it was occupied by a group of pirates. Hu Jiu said with a smile. Do we need to wait until night to go ashore quietly? Tang San asked softly with a twinkle in his eyes. No, with our strength, it's enough to come to the door with integrity. Isn't it said that the leader of the Purple Pearl Pirates is only level 73? With this strength, it's good to just crush it. It's just a soul saint in their group, whether it's Xiao Wu or Tang San. They're better than her except for the captain of the Purple Pearl Pirates. Everyone else is the target of sweeping, and there is no need to be sneaky. Okay, listen to you. Tang San nodded and said, hey, we are finally going to start killing people, and we'll let them see what a phoenix is. Mahanjan's eyes flashed with a fiery light. Beside him, Damu Bei also flashed a trace of evil light. These people were never good old people. Each has the courage to kill. In this world, good people don't live long. Since they have embarked on the path of soul masters, they are destined to have blood on their hands soon. The Sea Devil sailed to Purple Pearl Island. When they just landed, Hu Jiu and others were discovered by the Purple Pearl Island pirates. Hundreds of people surrounded them with weapons, and the leader was a man with a scar in his 50s. As for Hader, let him get out of here and tell me why he didn't dock at the pier. Before he could dock, the scarred man's fierce voice had already come over. As the Sea Devil got closer, they felt that something was wrong. The crew on the Sea Devil were familiar to them, but now none of them were gone. Appearing in front of them was a group of handsome men and beautiful women. The clothes they wore were of great value, and at first glance they were from aristocratic backgrounds. No, these people are not from our Purple Pearl pirates. Guys, give them to me and surround them. As soon as the scarred man finished speaking, everyone on the left and right took action. When the Sea Devil landed, he quickly stepped forward and surrounded them tightly. These pirates have a lot of guilt. Brothers, don't talk nonsense. Use your true skills and let them go to hell to atone for their sins. With Hu Jiu's perceptual ability, he instantly sensed the strong smell of blood on these pirates, and at a glance, he knew that a lot of people were killed. Not interested in communicating with them, he just wanted to hit Purple Pearl Island. Kill. As soon as Hu Jiu finished speaking, Tang San and the others had already started to act. Ning Rang Grang summoned her 9 treasure glazed tile pagoda, and streaks of multicolored light appeared in her fingers, shooting at Tang San and the others respectively, boosting their fighting power at the same time. Xiao Wu and the others were not idle either. They activated their spirit possessions one by one. Dazzling rays of light flashed on them, a powerful aura rose, and a monstrous killing intent spread out. Chapter 421 Purple Pearl. Knowing that he was facing a group of vicious pirates, Tang San didn't hold back. As soon as the battle started, he released his killing god domain. The huge killing aura was released from him, and everyone who faced him felt cold all over. His body felt frozen, and his hands and feet were uneasy. Kill. The icy aura erupted. Tang San was like a ghost. His body swiftly shuttled, but his eyes were fixed on the scarred man who took the lead. This was his goal. Boom. Behind Tang San, Damu Bei came first, and the 4th spirit ring under his feet lit up. With his body as the center, countless golden light balls appeared, and when he waved, countless small light balls shot towards him like shooting stars. Pirates. Haha, look at me. Phoenix meteor shower. At the same time, Mahanjan also started his large-scale attack, and the flames rose from his body. I don't know when, a cloud of fire appeared in the sky. In the cloud of fire, the flames were like sharp arrows, shooting the pirates on the shore overwhelmingly. Whoosh whoosh. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking were not to be outdone. Their bodies were like phantoms. They traveled around the battlefield. Every time it flashed, a pirate's body was left behind. The sound of rumbling was incessant, and there were screams everywhere in the slaughter from the very beginning. This group of pirates had no ability to resist. Stop. Who dares to be presumptuous in front of my Purple Pearl? Just as everyone was fighting hard, a furious voice sounded in everyone's ears. Hu Jiu raised his eyebrows and saw the face of the person who came. The person who suddenly appeared was a beautiful woman who looked 27 or 18 years old, with a well-proportioned figure, a high nose bridge, big eyes, and short purple hair that was neat and tidy, and looked vigorous. It's just that her face is not good looking at this time, and it's right to think about it. Anyone who sees his subordinates being wantonly killed, his face will not be very good looking. Behind her, there were hundreds of members of the pirate group who rushed in. With a slight scan of her perception ability, Hu Jiu realized that the spirit masters on the entire island were basically concentrated on these soul masters. He could be sure that each of them was stained with the blood of innocent people. But yes, these people are all pirates. How could they be innocent? Bastards. I'm going to kill you. As soon as Hu appeared, his eyes instantly fixed on Tang San, who was using a hidden weapon. In just such a small amount of time, Tang San actually has at least 30 or 50 people in his hands. It can be said that he is the one who kills the most. In terms of the speed of killing, what can be compared to a hidden weapon? What's more, he is an expert in using hidden weapons, such as lancets, locust stones, money darts, bone-penetrating nails and other hidden weapons to kill without money, and each hidden weapon has the power to see blood and seal the throat. Wherever he passed, the pirates were like reaping wheat. They would die if they touched them, and they would be injured if they touched them. HMPH, are you their leader? Sure enough, the most poisonous woman's heart. I didn't expect that a dignified pirate group would be controlled by a woman. Tang San licked his lips and looked at Hu with bright eyes. Judging from the breath of Purple Pearl, this is a very good opponent. The moment she arrived, Z Pearl activated her own martial spirit. Huang, Erzi, Sanhui, and 7 spirit rings appeared under her feet. At the same time, her body also changed a lot, and dense numbness appeared on her body. The small scales of the scales. The whole person is as soft as a python point, just in ups and downs. The body has appeared in front of Tang San. Boom. Purple. Pearl's martial spirit looked like a poisonous snake at first glance. Tang San certainly wasn't unprepared, only to see his hands turn into white jade-like color. 10 fingers claws, quickly resisting Purple Pearl's fist point. Both of them had similar levels of spirit power. Tang San was a level 72 control type spirit master, while Zenzu was a level 73 attack type spirit master. It stands to reason that Z Pearl's level is higher, and it's still a strong attack type. In head to head, it should be stronger. However, Tang San is not weak. In addition to the killing god domain, he also has a piece of 100,000 year soul bone. Based on these 2 points, his strength is no worse than Purple Pearl point. As soon as the 2 of them got started, they were evenly matched, and neither could defeat the other. But aside from Purple Pearl, the pirate group has no more powerful experts. The highest level was the 4 Soul Kings over 50 levels, one of which had been killed by Tang San just now. Point. Whether it was Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Daimyu Bei or Mahanjan, each of the remaining 3 Soul Kings could be easily dealt with. As more and more pirate groups arrived, Tang San and the others killed more and more. Hu Jiu, Ning Rangrong, and Oscar stood on the Sea Devil, watching the slaughter on the coast. In less than half an hour, Tang San, Daimyu Bei, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking, Mahanjan, the 5 people together, had killed hundreds of pirates in a short period of time. Seeing this scene, Zenzu felt extremely distressed. These people are all her subordinates. Stop it. Who are you guys? Why are you killing so many innocent people? Zenzu screamed angrily, the hatred in her eyes, wishing to swallow Tang San in one bite. Why? Because you are pirates. Tang San snorted coldly and said, what's wrong with us being pirates? Should we be killed if we are pirates? You demons, I think you are the most damnable people. Purple Pearl roared, really? Do you dare to say that you pirates have never harmed any innocent person? At this time, Hu Jiu stepped to the shore and asked indifferently, do you know why we came here? If it weren't for you people who provoke us, you think we'll take care of your bullshit? Z Pearl looked stunned and was about to explain, but a boy with a small fish basket came out of the crowd. I saw him look indifferent. I can testify for them that, although they are pirates, pirates are also human beings, and not all pirates are bad people. Over the years, the Purple Pearl pirates have been robbing the rich and helping the poor. In addition to ensuring their own survival, the rest of the wealth has been used to help some fish villages at sea who have difficulty living. So you killed the wrong person. Yes. The young man said affirmatively. Fart. I don't care what shit you do. Their people will never be fake. When they kill me, don't make excuses here. None of you can escape today. Mahanjan shouted loudly. That's because you are nobles. Our Purple Pearl pirates will never attack civilians. An old-faced pirate stood up and explained. Haha, it's so interesting. Could it be that the nobles should be killed? What kind of bullshit logic? Daimyu Bei sneered. Chapter 422. HMPH. All of you nobles are rich and unkind, let alone rob you of some money. Even if you kill you, you deserve it. Purple Pearl said coldly. She was about to be mad. This group of people ran to her island for no reason, and they shouted and killed as soon as they came up. She was the head of the dignified Purple Pearl. When did she suffer such a loss? Shut up. Do you still want to live? The young man hurried to his ho's side, wishing he could close her mouth. It's almost impossible to save my life. What can I do? In his eyes, he had long seen that this group was different from those fat-headed aristocrats. Me. Zenzu wanted to speak, but the young man covered his mouth. Yo, it's interesting. It's actually an ordinary person. Looking at such a young man, Tang San became interested. An ordinary person could actually restrain such a saucy woman. It's interesting to think about it. What's your name? My lord, my name is Jixiang. I'm a commoner living on the island and a doctor. Jixiang replied lightly. Doctor? No wonder. Tang San glanced at the small medicine basket on his back and nodded unexpectedly. On this small island, I can meet a doctor who understands herbal medicine. Sir, can you let them go? Although they have done some bad things, they have done more good things. Jixiang put on a pleading expression. That's not good. Who knows if what you said is true? Hu Jiu raised his eyes, not believing the auspicious nonsense at all. At this time, with the arrival of auspiciousness, the villagers on the Purple Pearl Island gradually gathered together. According to rough statistics, there were more than 3,000 people. My lords, I can guarantee the old man that what Jixiang said is true. The Purple Pearl pirates are very good, and they didn't do any evil. An old man in his 70s stood up with a cane and said, yes, the Purple Pearl pirates are very good. Please don't kill them. Yeah, the head of the Purple Pearl is good, and he gave us food. I think you are the villains. The villagers began to plead for the people of the Purple Pearl pirates. Seeing this scene, Tang San and the others looked at each other, feeling a little difficult from their eyes. They could of course see that what the villagers said was sincere. It seemed that the Purple Pearl pirates were not as unbearable as they thought. What should I do now? Xiaowu used Hu Jiu's net to quietly talk to her friends. Yeah, I don't think this regimental leader is a bad guy, and a bad guy won't be so pretty. Ning Rangrang also felt in a dilemma. Well, it's simple. My killing god domain can distinguish a person's good from evil. We can't let the villains of the pirate group go, and don't care about those who don't do evil. Tang San said after a moment of silence. Okay, then I'll leave it to you. Hu Jiu nodded, thinking that this method is good. Exiting the net of void, Tang San looked at the pirate group and the villagers on the island with a serious face. The killing energy unnaturally released from his body, shocking everyone. We can naturally tell whether the people in the pirate group are good or bad. Now I announce that all of you have been captured by us. Those who dare to resist will be killed without mercy. There are only 8 of them, and if they want to solve the problem, they can only cut through the mess and shock everyone with absolute strength. Guys, we fought with them. What are a few little brats? You were still breastfeeding when I killed you, said a fierce-faced pirate, waving his arms. Humph. Hu Jiu snorted coldly, and a mental shock sent out, instantly causing the pirate's head to burst open, and the headless corpse fell softly to the ground. I don't want anyone to resist, otherwise, he will be your fate. After speaking, Hu Jiu let go of the suppression of spirit power, revealing 8 spirit rings under his feet, 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 4 black. The powerful momentum rose, and the surrounding air became heavier at this moment. Hu Jiu was like a god, and the people of the pirate group couldn't breathe. How is this possible? At this moment, whether it was Purple Pearl, many pirate members, or even civilians, they all looked at Hu Jiu in shock. This is Sol Douluo. For them, Sol Douluo has always been an unattainable figure. They did not expect that they would encounter a legendary character on their small island. Z Pearl's face turned pale, and she no longer dared to curse. Huh? Do you have one more? Hu Jiu asked in a deep voice. Bang bang bang. The next moment, some pirate members put down their weapons and knelt directly to the ground, expressing their surrender like a chain reaction. Seeing someone kneel, others drop their weapons and kneel on the ground together in a short time. Except for Jixiang and Zizu, the ground was already full of people kneeling. Let's start. Hu Jiu winked at Tang San. Okay. Tang San nodded, then walked past these pirates. You get up and go over there. Tang San nodded as he walked. The people he called looked like the kind of vicious people, and at first glance they did a lot of evil. The face of the person who was called changed, but under the joint suppression of Hu Jiu and others, he still stood up obediently, holding a kind of luck in his heart. What if it wasn't a bad thing? But as more and more people were named by Tang San, some people began to react. They were all people who lived on the same island, and were very familiar with each other. They found that those who were named were not subject to the discipline of the regiment leader. Likes to kill innocent people indiscriminately. The people who were named and stood aside also quickly reacted, and their expressions changed drastically. Brothers, why should we listen to him, fight with them, and become a hero after 18 years? Bang. Before he could finish his words, Hu Jiu's eyes had already swept over, and a ginseng with strong soul power fluctuations flew out. Before they could realize what it was, a mixture of wind, thunder, the dark demon evil lightning bomb with the 3 compound attributes of evil has exploded. In an instant, all the people who stood up just now were shrouded in the explosion range, and there was no room for resistance at all. The ground trembled, the stumps danced, and the blood rushed. The one selected by Tang San was destroyed at this moment. Anything else? Hu Jiu looked indifferent, as if nothing had happened. It's almost there, Tang San said, shining bright rays of light on his hands. Among these rays of light, some villains who had not yet been selected by him were instantly killed by him. Okay, who are these people? I believe you can count them yourself. I won't say more. Now someone will arrange a place for us. We have to rest. While talking, Hu Jiu walked to his Huzu point. When I got closer, I realized that this woman, although not as good as Xiao Wu and the others, was also valiant, and she could be regarded as a beauty. Chapter 423 Sea God Island. Humph, seeing Hu Jiu come over, Zensu snorted in disapproval. The chick is quite hot, believe it or not. I will strip you naked and hang it outside. Hu Jiu asked, while looking at Purple Pearl with a smile. Hearing Hu Jiu's intimidation, Zensu immediately closed her mouth, with a well-behaved look on her face. That's right. Hu Jiu nodded with satisfaction. Okay, let's arrange a place for us to live. After staying on the boat these days, my bones are numb. Please, come with me. Pearl gritted her teeth and gestured to him. In my heart, I can't wait to press Hu Jiu to the ground and needed fiercely. Unfortunately, Hu Jiu didn't know what Zensu was thinking, or even if he knew, he wouldn't care. Under the leadership of Purple Pearl, Hu Jiu and others walked towards the center of the island. Watching them leave, the other pirate members breathed a sigh of relief. Hu Jiu put too much pressure on them. They were afraid that, if they were not careful, they would become the ones who were killed and used as an example. By the way, is there anyone here who is familiar with Sea God Island? On the way, Hu Jiu raised her head and asked his Huzu. Purple Pearl Island was only a few days away from Sea God Island, so if they were familiar with Sea God Island, they probably couldn't compare to these natives. Hu Jiu's question made his Huzu stunned for a moment, and then looked at Jixiang, who left with them. Do you know the situation on Sea God Island? Hu Jiu followed Purple Pearl's gaze towards Jixiang. Yes, in fact, I'm the one who came out of Sea God Island, Jixiang said with dim eyes. You from Sea God Island? This time, not only did Hu Jiu become interested, but Tang San and the others all turned their attention to Jixiang. Yes, I lived on Sea God Island for 10 years, but because I didn't awaken my cultivation aptitude, I was kicked out of Sea God Island when I was 10 years old. Jixiang was silent for a while, then looked at Hu with a sincere expression on his face. 9. If you are going to Sea God Island, I advise you to give up this idea. Hearing that their target was Sea God Island, Pearl had a strange look on her face, and there seemed to be pity in those eyes, as if Hu Jiu and the others were fools. Why do you want to give up your thoughts? Can't you go to Sea God Island? Tang San asked inexplicably. From Hu Jiu's mouth, they only know that they need to pass the test on Sea God Island. As long as they pass the test, their strength will be greatly improved. But from this auspicious mouth, it seems that Sea God Island is not a good place, because you are outsiders, and outsiders want to enter Sea God Island. There are only 2 possibilities. One is to be turned away, and the other is to never leave after entering. Hu Jiu knew this for a long time, and was not surprised. I know about this situation. Keep talking. Sea God Island can be said to be a special world of soul masters. Unlike on land, there are only sea soul masters, and land soul masters are almost non-existent. The soul masters there believe in sea gods. The sea god is the being that controls the sea, and is the ancestor of all sea spirit masters. All sea spirit masters believe that they are under the protection of the sea god, and possess great strength. The sea is their source of strength, and anyone who disrespects the sea god is their enemy. And Sea God Island is the holy place for all sea god masters. It is a place where sea god is worshipped. Anyone who wants to enter Sea God Island needs to go through a test to get there. Hearing Jixiang's narration, Tang San and the others had a general understanding of Sea God Island, that Is to say, before entering Seagard Island, we still have to go through the test, right? Tang San asked thoughtfully. Yes, but I don't know what this test is, because I'm not a soul master, but what I know is that this test was not set by the people on Seagard Island, but by Lord Seagard. For those who have no faith, it will be difficult to qualify for the island. Jixiang carefully looked at the appearance of Hu Jiu and others. No matter how he looked at it, he didn't want to be people with faith. I believe that, no matter how difficult it is, we will reach Seagard Island. Tang San said firmly. He also has the enemy of Wu Handian. At the beginning, his mother was forced to sacrifice because of Wu Handian. This is something he will never forget. He must avenge this revenge. Time passed quickly, and Hu Jiu and others stayed on Purple Pearl Island for 3 whole days. In the past 3 days, Hu Jiu and others were the overlords of this island. They could do whatever they wanted, and no one dared to stop them. Not only that, but you have to serve with care. The same goes for Purple Pearls. After Hu Jiu and the others announced their departure, the entire Purple Pearl Island was boiling, like sending off the bully, and the people on the island almost beat gongs and drums, and played crowns to celebrate. But in fact, Hu Jiu and the others didn't do anything. In the past 3 days, they had just visited the entire Purple Pearl Island, and had fun on the island for a few days. Maybe it was because the killing was too ruthless at the beginning, and the people on Seagard Island were very afraid of them, which is why this scene happened. The familiar sea breeze came on coming, blowing people's hearts. The sun reflected on the slightly undulating sea surface, rippling with colorful brilliance. Hu Jiu and the others stood on the sea demon, and the ship sailed fast and set off towards Seagard Island. This time, they finally didn't have to sail by themselves. Before leaving, Hu Jiu asked Zizhasu to have several crew members who were familiar with the waterway. With them, they could effectively avoid the dangerous areas on the sea, and save a lot of trouble. 3 days later, a huge island faintly appeared in front of everyone. Sir, we can't continue sailing. Seagard Island is ahead. There are many powerful sea spirit beasts in the nearby sea area. As long as there are ships approaching, they will inevitably encounter attacks by sea spirit beasts. We dare not offend the majesty of the sea god. On this day, an old sailor came to Hu Jiu to report, for fear that he would disregard the danger, and ask them to drive the boat to Seagard Island. Okay, just drive a little closer, then we will find a way to get to the island by ourselves. You can go back the same way. Hu Jiu waved his hand and said with a relaxed expression. During this time, there were old crew members who controlled the ship, and they did not encounter any danger, and Hu Jiu also used this time to make a lot of teleportation ginseng. It is not difficult to reach Poseidon Island safely. Besides, he has a secret weapon. Thinking of this, Hu Jiu's mind moved, and he greeted Tang San and the others together. The ship can only sail here, and the rest is up to us. With that, Hu Jiu rubbed his wrist, and the Soul Tool Longyuan boat appeared in his hand. As Hu Jiu injected a soul power, the Longyuan boat in his hand rose in the wind, and quickly turned into a dragon head boat that was 12 meters long and 2 or 3 meters wide. The appearance of Longyuan boat is crystal clear and white, and the entire hull is like jade. There is a faint halo on the surface of the hull, which looks more like a very beautiful work of art. Chapter 424, Landing on the Island. Let's go. Hu Jiudang jumped onto the Longyuan boat first. After him, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zuking and the others did not hesitate, and jumped into the Longyuan boat. At the end, they waved to the people on the sea demon, indicating that they could leave. After everyone had arrived, Hu Jiu came to a crystal ball in the main control room, and reached out to input his soul power into it. In an instant, a transparent blue light spread out from the crystal ball, covering the entire Longyuan boat. The moment Hu Jiu reached out and touched the crystal ball, he was connected to Longyuanding. At this moment, he could control any action of Longyuanding. Under his thoughts, the Longyuan boat began to dive, and the forefins on both sides of the boat began to swing. But with a sway, the Longyuan boat jumped forward and up the boss like a flying shot. Its speed is faster than when they ride the Sea Devil. It's so fast. If we knew it was so fast, we would take this boat. Xiao Wu stroked the shield formed by the Long Yuan boat because of the diving and looked at the scenery on the seabed curiously. Although the diving distance of Long Yuan boat is only 300 meters, in their eyes, they can already see the movement on the seabed. You want to exhaust me, don't you think that this boat is very fast, but it takes soul power? Hu Jiu gave Xiao Wu an angry look. That is to say, he has strong soul power. If he were someone else, he would probably be drained of his soul power after a while. While talking, Hu Jiu's perception ability was not idle. Now they were in the sea, and it would be no fun if they accidentally encountered a soul beast. It is said that in the senior sea god island, there is a 100,000-year-old island protecting divine beast, and Sea God Island is its domain point because of the existence of these 100,000 soul beasts. The vicinity of Sea God Island has become the territory of great white sharks. He has just entered the sea, and he has already sensed several great white shark soul beasts, and this soul beast Hu Jiu also knows it is Xiao Bei in the original book. With his current strength, he is still quite jealous of this 100,000-year soul beast. It is better not to encounter it. In the seabed, there are various colorful corals, fish, and some unnamed creatures, making Hu Jiu and others feel that this journey is not a loss. An hour later, Hu Jiu controlled the Long Yuan boat to surface. Although the Long Yuan boat could dive into the water, the air in the shield was limited and could only last for an hour. After the time is exceeded, they can only surface to the sea for ventilation. Next to the crystal ball of Long Yuan boat, there is a white stone bar that shows the amount of air. Once submerged in the water, it will turn blue, and over time, one end of it will gradually turn red. When the bar turns red, it means that the air in the Long Yuan boat is insufficient and needs to be replenished. I didn't expect this Long Yuan boat to have such a function. This 10,000 gold soul coins is really worth it. Breathing the fresh air on the sea, Ning Rongrong sighed. Ning Rongrong, this little rich woman, has never been short of money. Especially her spirit is a 7 treasure glazed tile pagoda, which has a strong appreciation of all kinds of treasures. The reason why Ning Rongrong likes to go shopping is also because of this reason. Her martial spirit is like a treasure hunt mouse, and every time she goes shopping, she will gain a lot. But this Long Yuan boat, she had misunderstood. She thought it was not worth it at first, but she didn't expect it to be so easy to use. It's a sailing weapon. Haha, of course it's a good thing, but the defense is a little lower. Of course, for us, this shortcoming can be ignored. With us here, we don't need much defense. Hu Jiu smiled lightly. In fact, when he bought this boat, he didn't think much about it. He just wanted to figure out one aspect. Even if there was no Long Yuan boat, he still had other ways to travel. Next, we have to be careful. As he got closer and closer to Sea God Island, Hu Jiu detected more and more spirit beasts. Thinking of this, Hu Jiu's heart moved, and the sea god's heart flew out from the center of his eyebrows with a swipe. A light blue light mask spread out from the sea god's heart, instantly covering the Long Yuan boat in it. This is the sea god's heart's additional ability, the vast sea shield. Within the scope of the vast sea barrier, Hu Jiu and others, including Long Yuanding, entered a state of invisibility. In order to test the stealth ability of the vast sea shield, Hu Jiu also specially controlled the Long Yuan boat to pass in front of a 1,000-year-old great white shark. As a result, the great white shark didn't notice it, swung its tail, and swam away leisurely. Surprisingly, under the cover of the vast sea barrier, the diving depth of the Long Yuan boat actually exceeded the limit. Even if it dived into the bottom of the sea, there was no problem. Moreover, the deeper the dive, the lower the pressure on the vast sea shield. After Hu Jiu's careful observation, he found that there are constantly tiny blue light spots blending in outside the vast sea shield, which not only saves his soul power and let him feel a cool feeling coming from the position between the eyebrows. Under the nourishment of this cool feeling, he only felt that his consciousness was clear, and even his thinking speed was much faster. Could this be the legendary power of faith? Hu Jiu guessed secretly. I don't know if it's because of lack of ability, but after some careful perception, he found nothing. But it doesn't matter. He just needs to know that this is only good for him and not bad. Point. Because of the seawater, maintaining the vast sea shield was not difficult, and even the soul power that Hu Jiu input was actually the same as the soul power that was recovered. Point. It can be said that as long as there is seawater, his vast sea shield can be kept open all the time. Point. Under the cover of the vast sea barrier, the next itinerary was simple, and as time went on, they also got closer and closer to Seagate Island. Point. 2 hours later, the coral on the seafloor gradually disappeared, replaced by sand and dust on the beach. Point. Gradually, Hu Jiu and the others only felt that their eyes were getting brighter and brighter, and finally, they reached the beach of Seagate Island. Haha. Seagate Island, it's finally here. When everyone went ashore, including Hu Jiu, everyone cheered. Point. Although the scenery at the bottom of the sea is beautiful, after staying for a long time, there is always a feeling of depression. Point. Not long after setting foot on the shore, Hu Jiu keenly discovered the difference here. Point. Logically speaking, this season is already winter, and the temperature on Seagate Island should not be too high, but here, Hu Jiu felt the warmth that only spring can have, which is a bit unreasonable. Point. It didn't take long for Tang San to notice the difference here. Looking around, Seagate Island was full of green, and all kinds of plants grew on the island, especially the most common blue silver grass, which was everywhere here visible. Chapter 425. Participate in the test. While Hu Jiu and the others were still indulging in the beauty of Seagate Island, a low shout suddenly came, and in an instant, 7 or 8 figures appeared in the woods not far away, surrounding them in the middle. Point. These people have different images, and the only thing in common is probably the attire, which is a kind of attire similar to the strong suit, but the color of the clothes on each person is different. Point. For this, Tang San also specially understood. It is said that the level of the spirit masters of Seagate Island is divided according to the color of the clothes, not by the level of spirit power. Looking at Hu Jiu and others, the people on the opposite side were also surprised. They couldn't understand why these people appeared here silently. You must know that even the people who were introduced to Seagate Island over the years did not experience many trials. I got here after getting bruised and bruised. Point. Thinking of this, under the leadership of the leader on the opposite side, they confronted Hu Jiu and the others. 8 people against 8 people. For a while, it means that they are evenly matched. We admire the prestige of Seagate Island, and specially came to participate in the test, to join Seagate Island. At this time, Daemubei stopped Tang San, who was about to speak, and stood up first. Point. From Daemubei's point of view, he was the oldest among Shrek's middle class, but not the most powerful. Point. He has always had a vigilant attitude towards Seagate Island. Naturally, he wanted to use his age to paralyze the person on the opposite side. Point. After all, if any accident happened, he would definitely be the one who would suffer first. In this way, there would soon be enough time for Hu Jiu and Tang San to react. After all, having been the heir of the royal family for 2 years, these ideas popped out of his mind in an instant, and he was decisively executed. Point. The middle-aged spirit master who looked like a leader on the opposite side frowned, looked at Daemubei and asked, "Are you from the land, Daemubei?" nodded calmly, "Yes, we are land spirit masters on the mainland." "Why didn't we say that anyone can join Seagate Island?" The middle-aged spirit master looked at Daemubei with a cold expression. "You guys should leave here. How did you come? How did you leave? We Seagate Island do not welcome you. Otherwise, don't blame us for being rude." "Why?" At this time, Tang San stepped forward, came to Daemubei's side, and asked inexplicably, "Didn't you say you can join, as long as you pass the test on Seagate Island?" "We've already passed the test, why can't we stay down?" "Humph." The middle-aged spirit master looked at Tang San angrily. "It seems that you already knew something about our Seagate Island before you came, but I'll let you leave for your own good. Getting here is just a trivial test, and it is impossible to join our Seagate Island through the test." "Why?" Tang San asked. "Why? Because you are land soul masters. The test of Lord Seagate is not something you land soul masters can pass." "Okay, now you can leave. If you continue to be reckless, you will only lose your life." The Soul Master had a cold face and a warm heart, and the reason why he was so cold was for their own good, not wanting them to lose their lives in vain. Tang San and Amubei felt the kindness of the middle-aged spirit master. Of course, senior, since we are here, we don't plan to go back easily. You don't need to persuade us. No matter how difficult the test of Lord Sea God is, we will not give up. Tang San never thought about whether he could pass the test. Confidently speaking, if even they can't pass the test, then no one can pass this test. Seeing that Tang San and the others were not getting in, the middle-aged spirit master frowned and persuaded again. I'm saying once, Lord Sigurd's test is very difficult, and once you've accepted the test, there's no possibility of quitting in the middle. There are only two results. One is to complete the test, and the other is to die. Over time, the majority of people die. Many thanks senior, but we are still determined to accept the test. Tang San was unmoved. Not only did he not give up because of the middle-aged spirit master's words, but he was even more interested in it. He wanted to see what kind of test this legendary sea god would give them. Yes, we are willing to accept the test. Behind him, Xiao Wu and the others said in unison. Alas. The middle-aged soul master sighed deeply. He knew that these people would not give up. If that's the case, then come with me. I hope you won't regret it later. He senior. Thank you. You are a good person. Xiao Wu jumped to the front and gave the middle-aged soul master a good person card. The middle-aged soul master turned around and paused. Then he greeted his companions and silently led the H-Rec people to the depths of the forest. Hu Jiu and the others looked at each other and immediately followed. But in this unfamiliar place, everyone is always vigilant. Amubei and Mahanjan walked in the middle of the line. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking stood on both sides of the line. Hu Jiu, Ning Rangrong, and Oscar were in the middle, and Tang San walked at the back to cut off everyone. The reason why Hu Jiu was placed in the middle also had the meaning of confusion. No one would have thought that Hu Jiu was only a food type soul master, but he was the strongest existence in their group. Walking all the way, there would ends woods, and in the woods, Tang San found a lot of blue silver grass. Seeing them, Tang San's expression changed, and he began to use his martial spirit to communicate with these blue silver grasses, wanting to see if he could detect some information. It's a pity that he miscalculated. When his mental power was connected to the blue silver grass, he found that there seemed to be a strange energy in this forest. Because of the existence of this energy, he was clearly connected to the blue silver grass, but can't feel anything. This discovery made Tang San frown, raising his vigilance to the highest point in his heart. Tang San's movement seemed to be noticed by the middle-aged spirit master in front. He turned around, looked at Tang San with piercing eyes, and warned, "Don't try to use your mental abilities. Everything here is under the influence of Lord Sea God. Blessing, your behavior like this is an offense to Lord Sea God. I'm sorry, I didn't know there were such rules." Tang San sincerely apologized to the middle-aged spirit master, but in his heart, he was terrified. He didn't expect that his hidden actions would be discovered like this. This Sea God Island is really mysterious. It's nothing. After all, coming to an unfamiliar place, it's natural to want to find out some information. The middle-aged soul master shook his head, not blaming. Hu Jiu, who had not spoken all the time, pouted quietly, and his mental perception ability did not detect anything. But better than Tang San. In addition to mental perception, he could also detect news through his 5 senses such as smell and hearing. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.